Hello, and welcome to Final Show Films. I'm John, or Senstaku, as you might know me on Twitter, the executive producer here, and I just want to thank you for watching. It really means a lot to us that people watch, listen to, and enjoy our shows. If you want to help us keep making these shows as fun and lively as they can be, please join your fellow fans in supporting us at our Patreon page at patreon.com/fsfilms or by subscribing to our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/finalshowfilms. It really means a lot to us that the amount of you who do support us continue to do so, especially our $25 plus tier supporters on Patreon. Antitonic, Cat Waterflame, Samantha Bates, Maureen Monty, and Gravity Alexander. Every little bit helps, so thank you to all of our patrons and subs. Check us out on Twitter at Final Show Films and on our website at www.finalshowfilms.com for updates, go-live notifications, and more. We love interacting with you, so feel free to tweet at us or email us at finalshowfilms@gmail.com. That being said, please relax and enjoy.
I'm like, you're not a
And
pacifist.
speaking of being almost live, we are live!
Now I'm going to sit here and stare at Zach and see if he can do the intro.
The intro's real easy.
The intro.
Hi! That's part of it.
So the intro, I don't know specifically what kind of information I'm supposed to be giving as, you know, a new representative of this channel now, but...
Just say hello,
Hi.
my name is...
Hi! So, my name's Zach. I'm normally the guy sitting over there, but this time I'm not, because I'm going to try my hand in between these two campaigns that we're running to run a little one-shot, or two-shot. It'll hopefully not be more, it won't be more than 3 sessions.
Mini-series.
Probably 2,
Mini-series.
we'll see. Yeah, running a mini-series in Starfinder. Which, for those unaware, is Pathfinder, but in space, and the future. It's fun.
And
it's
a
fun
rule
looking.
system that is much simpler and
It's
more interesting.
Pathfinder 1.5 in space.
Yeah.
It's Pathfinder, but without intending to break every class to balance them.
So yeah, fun times. Very, very fun system. We've been looking over this system for a little bit, and finally I just decided, you know what? If nobody's going to run this, I'm going to run it myself. I'm still fairly new to this whole DMing thing. I'm going to make lots of mistakes.
Yay!
And we're all going to judge him very
We're gonna take
harshly.
advantage of it.
Good. So,
And joining you today is...
yes. So,
The people who will judge you harshly.
I will never judge you harshly, Zach. Don't worry.
so
Yeah, William doesn't judge.
Starting
passively judging
on
you.
my left, because I'm not like the individual on my left giving strange directions for introducing people, is...
Hi, I'm Austin/Units, and I am playing Grace in Isoki Envoy. Because rat people
Also,
are
I never
cool.
judge you harshly. I just judge you.
And on your left,
Hi, I am Holly, and I am playing Bizu, and he is a Skittermander mechanic.
Oh,
the
what?
Skittermander are great.
Skittermander mechanic.
What's a Skitterman?
You will hear when she describes what she looks like.
It is amazing. So
They
I will
are
say.
the best race in Starfinder.
I missed this, apparently.
John has to now look up
It's in the
Skittermanders.
Alien Archive.
I could
There's
not
like
pass up this race once I
50
found it.
playable races.
Oh, are there playable races in the Alien Archive?
Oh,
Not
yeah,
just
there's like
monsters?
20 in each.
Holy crap, I didn't know that.
You can be the goodest boy.
Yeah, you can be a space dog.
You can be a good doggo.
Yes.
Very quickly rearranged.
And to Holly's left,
Hi, I am William, and I am playing Najka Flamehowl, the half-orc engineer.
I thought the Alien Archive was just a bestiary.
no, and directly in front of you,
I'm Rudy. I'm playing A1111, Technomancer Android.
A1111. Nice.
It's going to be hard to remember.
That's a lot of steak sauce.
They have
You can also
asterisks that says
you can also
includes
refer to
player
him as
character racial
A41.
traits.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I told you there's like 20 in each.
There are. You can be a dragonkin.
Yeah, I had a list of like 6 races I was
A
going to play
space
until I
goblin.
found Skittermander.
And to his left, who may or may not have a new character in 3 seconds,
No. I'm John. I'm playing Sensaku, a Borai Lashunta Solarian.
excellent.
That's a bunch of words.
It is.
They all mean something, I hope.
Yes.
And so, on his left,
That's me. I'm Stan. I'm playing Shank, the Vesk Solarian mercenary.
Spoiler alert, he shanks things.
Well, yeah, whatever. I just came up with a name 3 seconds ago.
I mean, it's not a bad one for, someone who shanks things.
That's
I know.
terrifying.
What?
An ooze made of nanomachines?
Yes.
That
Oh yeah, the
disassembles,
assembly ooze.
that disassembles you and assembles you into other things.
Oh, I love that monster. It's so much fun. It
That's
is so much
terrifying.
You fall into the assembly ooze and you come out as a series of
Your
helmets.
failure to read the Alien archives means you missed a good 25% of what Starfinder has to offer.
Holy shit.
There's some fun
There's a
stuff
player
in
race
there.
that has the ability to shoot blood out of its eyes at its enemies to
That's
distract
one
them.
of the ones that was on my list.
I mean, anyone can do that if you try hard enough.
My brother can do that. When you get a bloody nose, you hold your and you can blow out of your tear duct.
To be fair, I'm not convinced that Uncle Bob is not an alien.
Well, yeah.
I'm not convinced that he's real.
There is the race for, the lizard people that shapeshift into our world leaders, so,
There's also little gray men. They have mind probe as an ability.
That was
Oh,
also
the-
one of the ones on my list.
Space Drow looks so freaking cool.
They live on a poste.
They look so cool. Look at that.
Yeah. I have read every single one of these books.
I'd also consider that.
I know a
Like I said,
stupid amount about this
Catalyst.
system, and I love it, and I want more
Wait,
of
you
it.
can play as an Electrovore?
Yes.
Wait, there's rules for playing as an Electrovore?
There are.
There's rules for playing as floating space brains.
I mean, at
Ooh,
least
that's
the
what I wanna
floating
do.
space brains are vaguely humanoid.
Oh wait, no, you can't. No, you can't play as an Electrovore. You can make gloves out of an Electrovore.
Yeah.
Yes, but
Okay.
anyway, enough of talking about this system.
Let's find out what it's about.
Let's give a shot at exploring it. So, the lot of you spacefaring adventurers of various description, and I will go ahead and silence my phone now because I should have done that
Did my
before.
phone just go off?
I didn't
No, Zach's
think
did.
about that.
What?
Zach's did.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
I'm gonna
mine's
blame
right in the
someone
kitchen.
else.
I wasn't sure. What?
But I'm going to blame someone else. So,
whatever.
I'm officially blaming you.
Did I call you?
Your
No,
phone-
but I don't want to blame
Your
myself.
phone is haunted, so it's possible.
I don't think this one's haunted.
We had an exorcism.
No, my
You said that
old
last
phone was
time.
haunted. This one isn't.
But yes, the lot of you, for various reasons, whether because it was the cheapest flight you could get, or the fastest flight you could get, or the fact that it had a very forgiving pet policy, the lot of you have found yourself on the ship known as the Stinger Mark 12. It is flying from Absalom Station and is planning on heading to Versus.
What happened to the first 11 marks?
They
Well, you
crashed.
see,
That was
it's a-
my exact thought.
It's a fairly new experimental type of ship. Its main selling point is the fact that it's incredibly fast. This trip normally should have taken in any other ship maybe a week or more, but the journey on the Stinger Mark 12 is going to be only 3 days.
Okay, so it's a Stinger Mark 12 versus a ship named the Stinger Mark 12.
It's an experimental model. It looks like a Hornet, right? It does still look like a Hornet.
Yes, it looks like a
It
hornet.
does resemble a Hornet, yes.
Yes.
For those of you who played the space age economy game Gazillionaire in your youths, it's
I'm
that one.
blatantly ripping off proper nouns from it, yes.
And shockingly, for whatever reason, the ships from Gazillionaire translate perfectly into Starfinder rules.
Yeah,
Like
I was very glad when I
so.
found that.
Yeah.
Because yes, it does carry 100 tons of cargo and has rooms for 8 passengers. So there are 8 passenger rooms. But yes.
Mischief and Doldrum and I all stay in the same room. It's fine.
I mean, yes, that makes sense.
Who?
Again,
Mischief and Doldrum.
forgiving pet policy.
I see.
I don't know if I would call Doldrum a pet.
So,
Doldrum would certainly not appreciate being called a pet.
so you all are making your way onto the ship. The boarding is taking place essentially over about an hour's worth of time. You can just kind of show up with ticket, get on. They're loading a bunch of cargo into the ship as well as they're open up for passengers. So, when would the lot of you probably be showing up? Like towards the beginning, or like
First.
I get there
Right on
exactly at opening ship time. I want to meet everybody.
I want to get into my room as quickly as possible.
So we arrive at the same time, and I can harass you. Huzzah!
I arrived first to not get harassed.
So harassing begins to happen. What did the two of you look like?
So Saku is 6 feet tall, which is average on Lashunta. They have a range a little bit taller than humans. Long black hair that's just sort of bangs sort of tied back to keep the rest of it back. So you've got the tiny bang ponytail and then the hair flowing down behind it. With two long sensory stalks that come up about a foot off the forehead. One of them has been sheared to slightly shorter than the other from some sort of injury at some point. But the little bulbous tip has regrown, so it's a little shorter, but they both still have the little sensory tips at the top.
So whenever you try to telepathically communicate, you get a bit of TV static.
No, that's why it regrew. When it wasn't regrown, I did. Covered in scars, like all over the place. Some look like injury scars, some look like surgical scars. It's hard to there's enough of them that it's hard to tell the difference. With just jet black eyes, pupils clear, everything solid black. Wearing a form-fitting armored jumpsuit underneath what look like sort of more casual clothes, which is a jacket that's open so you can see the armor underneath it, some sort of cargo pants and boots, armored gauntlets on both arms that are the jackets are sort of tucked into, with a big ass revolver on one hip, overly over past the point of compensation, oversized revolver.
The dirty
Anime
Harry.
sized.
Bigger than the Dirty Harry, it's this massive revolver with reinforcement brackets on the barrel, and
the Vash the Stampede.
yes, that kind of oversized
Like I said, the anime revolver.
with a gold and so the armor's all silver and black with a single gold plate on the back of the left hand. The gun is on the right hip, and very just I'm done with this day already look on the face.
He gets up
And-
early so he can be over it.
Yeah, exactly.
Arriving at the same time is a 3'3" Isoki, which for those of you who don't know are rat people. Some of them look more mouse-like, some of them look more rat-like. Grace looks more mouse-like, with jet black fur and a stylish assortment of red and black clothes. They look both elegant and, fancy, but still practical. It's sort of robe style, like a skirt with a large opening on the front for mobility and leggings underneath.
Loud enough to hear.
And an assortment of
Headphones attempting to be used.
and a variety of small gold dangles all over, and foot wrappings, so the rat-like feet are exposed. And sitting on her shoulder is a squawks, which is this one is more fennec-like. A squawks, a squirrel fox.
Squirrel-sized fox.
Unfortunately, not a squid fox. I was disappointed to find this out.
It is actually about the size of a fennec. This
Okay.
one has large ears and is kind of a blondish red like fennecs are. But the biggest thing is that the paws look different. Number one, the paws have opposable thumbs
Yes.
and move oddly so that the squawks can run up and down trees.
Yeah, the as opposed to the fancy and nicely put together outfits, and Stockley's outfit is very much like just got off a cargo freighter that's been hauling for a year. Like,
Oh no. This outfit has been very meticulously put together, and appearance is clearly of import, but also practicality. At no point is form surpassing function. They're very well taken care of to go together. And as she approaches, why, hello there. Are you going to be a fellow passenger on? Oh, do you look undead? I mean,
Barai don't look undead. They're much paler than they were in life, and they have a bunch. In his case, has a bunch of scars.
I mean, they look corpse pale.
Yeah.
can I make a check to determine that he is undead using life sciences and my Xenoseeker ability?
Yeah, you can absolutely roll some life science on that.
Yeah.
Life science to determine that there is far less life than there normally
He has
is.
well, and in life he had a very olive skin tone, so his corpse pale is not as pale as some people who are still alive.
Okay. So that's a 15, but the DC is reduced by 5 for me to identify races because of my Xenoseeker.
Yeah, I mean, unless you want to actively
it's not
roll
hiding
disguise
it.
or
It's not
anything.
hiding
Yeah. You can tell.
It's easier for me to disguise myself as a living Lashunta, but I'm not. So it doesn't matter.
Okay. And it's a fair bet that that undead pretty much universally speak Eoxian, right? Or do they not?
It's like 90%. So like.
And also, Borai specifically, of all the undead, they would probably be the least likely to speak Eoxian, either if they have only recently died or if they've never been to Eox, because there's plenty of them that haven't.
Okay,
so,
cool. So
But you still got about a 70% chance of them speaking Eoxian.
But
it would be kind of like going to the Southwest U.S. and just kind of assuming someone speaks Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it's fairly likely, but
it's not a. It's not an assumption that would be polite to make.
Yeah, it'd be much easier. It'd be much more like, because the Shunta, it'd be much better to assume that they speak Castrovellian.
Okay. Well then, I will greet you in that language. I speak a lot of languages.
I figured as an envoy.
I say in Castrovellian.
Yeah,
Oh, so we'll be passengers together on the ship you're heading as well. Oh, it's so exciting. So, where are you from?
The grave.
Hi. Castrovel.
Well, a lot of Lashunta come from different areas. They're fairly spread out, not as spread out as like the Asoki or the humans, but I imagine you've been lots of places, and I can imagine that every one of those scars has a story behind it, and I would love to hear it. I'm gonna roll a sense motive to determine whether or not he's having any of this. That's a 30-something to assume that he's not having any of this.
I'm pretty sure he's not having any of this.
Yeah, you checked out halfway through that sentence.
Halfway through the
impressive.
one-word
I expected
sentence.
earlier.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to be in your room most of the time. All right, you have a wonderful trip.
Thanks.
You walk past the pilot as you're going onto the ship, but he just, having seen the exchange, just sort of nods.
So am I because I am a mercenary, am I passenger or guard on this trip?
You are a passenger on
Okay,
this.
cool.
You're all passengers on this.
Got it.
So, the captain himself, he has a jumpsuit that looks like it could be pulled straight out of Star Trek. It's mostly black with elements of red along the sides.
We've got Star Trek, Firefly, Cowboy Bebop.
Yes.
As I walk past the captain, I look at him and just go, bunk.
Room should be on your ticket.
Look at it. Look at the hornet-shaped ship.
Yeah, what planet?
Top or bottom?
A hornet-shaped ship. Would that be Castrovellian origin, or?
You're not entirely sure what kind of origin this ship has. If you want to try
That's
culture,
my job when I get there.
you could try to roll culture.
Could I try?
Go ahead.
22 culture check.
Or would a piloting role sort of give me an idea as to where the bunks might be on the ship? Like what direction?
You can go ahead and roll that if you want, yeah.
Just as a, you knowing your way around ships kind of thing.
It's a small enough ship. It's probably all on the same deck.
It's not that large of a ship, yeah.
Yeah, because it's one of the
12.
smaller of the...
You suspect that it's only like a ship with one primary deck to it.
Yeah.
So like the cargo holds are probably all underneath, and then the
Okay,
main
cool.
deck is just going to be.
Then
Just
I
that.
will move on to my talk.
Yeah, he just kind of
Yeah.
signals you through the main entrance. But on 22,
Yeah.
that ship doesn't look like it even comes from the Pact Worlds.
Ooh.
That's not any kind of ship that you're really familiar with at all.
Fascinating. Oh, and then the pilot and the captain are standing outside as people come
The
in?
captain, not the pilot.
Okay, what's the captain look like?
So,
You said he's got a jumpsuit, but what?
yeah, he's human with blonde hair and this very, chiseled, generically handsome sort of face.
Captain Good Looks.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. He's
I didn't fight back, so you do.
this. He is basically the poster child for kind of pretty boy captain.
All right. I'm going to walk.
Lance Henriksen.
I'm going to walk up. Why, hello there. So you'll be the captain during our voyage?
Yes, indeed.
How many voyages has the ship been on?
Well, this is going to be the ship's second voyage now. It's a exciting new venture that I've been endeavoring to make for a little while.
And where does the ship come from? It's such a fascinating design.
Well, the design, I'm honestly not entirely sure about it. You could certainly ask our mechanic once you get on the ship, but it was sold to me by an old friend from the academy, actually, a guy named Zin. Interesting fellow. Interesting fellow.
Oh no, we're doomed.
The thing on the inside is the vestigial mouth that larval
For those
ones
of you
have.
who haven't played that old
Yeah, it's only for,
gazillionaire
like,
game,
kids.
Zin is the freak of the whole thing.
Yes, I'm afraid I'm.
Children have a chest burster.
It's a vestigial mouth. They use it to grapple and suck the blood out of their host.
Cool. What?
Judge.
Skittermanders.
Oh yes. Yes, good marriage are fun.
Kind of like Stitch meets a stuffed animal.
And a chest burster.
It's very Stitch, actually. It's just sort of Stitch.
But yes, he strokes his faint stubble for a moment. Yes, I'm afraid I'm much more knowledgeable about the economic side of this thing than about the exact details of the ship.
Oh, do you mind if I go speak with the engineer? I'm fascinated by the design.
Absolutely. I can't guarantee you he's the most talkative of individuals, but
Oh, we'll
I'm
get
sure
talking.
you'll get along
Yeah.
famously.
Oh, right. Which way?
Well, if you just go right on board there, turn to your right and you'll see the passenger areas as well as our recreation lounge and the medical bay. And then on the left you should be able to see him hard at work getting the ship ready for its voyage.
All right, Mischief. Let's go see how the engines work. Mischief makes little skittering chitter noises, sort of like a squirrel. And she will excitedly skip aboard.
So probably right as the Yosoki ends up heading inside the ship is when Nashka starts walking up.
And how do you look?
And relevant question, because this will change how my character it talks at the introduction. With my profession being starship designer, do I know anything about this ship and potentially its origins? I can roll a starship designer check if you want.
Go ahead and roll.
Well, that's a natural 20, which makes it a 31.
You've actually been recently studying some of this stuff. You've been reading about this. It's a newly discovered system. It was surprisingly advanced, and there's been a bit of a technology trade. They've been focusing, obviously on some different technologies than the Pact Worlds have, so whenever you have contact with that kind of advanced civilization, there's a lot of trade of information, trade of things. This specific class of ship, the way that they build the engines on these things are insanely power intensive, but they're very powerful. It's the fastest travel you can get short of drift travel. Though it specifically isn't equipped with a drift engine.
So it's specifically designed for
interplanetary travel
interplanetary travel.
within, one system. There's people already, excitedly looking into the exact details of everything because it's not all fully understood by any experts in the Pact Worlds.
Okay. Approaching the ship is a half-orc woman, roughly 6'4", with long, dark, like autumn red hair that sort of flows down about to mid-back, with her right arm sort of held in front of her as a screen is being projected off of her custom rig. She's wearing the latest model of the Vesk overplate Mark 1. Which has been custom painted, black with sort of red fire trim across different areas of it, with the name Pyre Master sprayed across the front, which is her call sign on all vid gaming groups. Her eyes are this sort of primarily like bright red, but occasionally they'll flash gold for a second. Whenever her exocortex does anything major. She's got a handful of scars on her face. Most of them seem very choicely aesthetically placed.
Nice. She's a gamer geek.
It's like I look like I fell through a blender. You look like you very neatly went.
Fell through a designer blender.
Yeah. And she has very well designed custom holster for the large laser rifle across her back, which also has the name Toasty stenciled across its side.
You did that.
I did.
That was you.
And so as she approaches the ship, she's very obviously speaking into a vid recorder that's recording her face as she walks.
You can play a panther person.
Patras.
Yeah, she all right, guys, so I'm about to take off on this ship. I'm not flying it myself this time, but it's the Stinger Mark 12, one of the new ships brought in from one of the systems that the Starfinder the Starfinder
She's
Society.
streaming as we speak.
that the Starfinder Society has found recently, so I'm excited to see a little bit more about the interior. I'll let you guys know any of the specs as I find out more about it. So I'm gonna log off now, but I'll see you guys later.
Fictionally streaming while on stream.
Pyre Master signing off, and she'll log off.
Yay.
So you start walking up the ship?
Yep.
Welcome aboard, man. He offers a handshake.
Wait.
Very firm, very
play
heavy,
Star
crushing
Fox?
handshake, because she's a half-orc.
Or wolf?
His is not nearly so firm, but he takes it like a champ. Well, actually,
How dare I?
he does not take it like a champ. He seems to
Why aren't you fucking
wince
walking?
just a little bit.
Ironically, most of her strength is in her hands.
Because on the furry
She doesn't have a high strength score, but she's got that firm hand grip.
Dogs are on a medium. I was tempted by Patras.
What was your character's name again?
Najka.
Cool.
Bears are
And-
interesting too.
Yes.
Space bears.
Najka
Yes.
Flamehowl.
Space
is her last
bears, space
And
wolves,
you must
and
be
space panthers.
Najka, right?
name. That's me. Najka Flamehowl. You can call me Pyre Master.
Your reputation precedes you.
Adventuring,
aboard.
adventuring vid gamer, you know.
Sure, big gamer. I hope you die first.
Let's be frank. This is where YouTube is headed in an age of space travel.
I know. I'm just. It's like
Streaming adventurers, yeah,
I
that's what
hope
they do.
you die first. That's all I'm saying.
It's literally she's a vid gamer. She streams her vid game streams. She also streams her adventuring
I
journeys.
just want it to be like a, hey guys, we're about to start a fight, and the ship crashes on you.
All right. Do you mind if I get a look around? She says.
Absolutely. Everything should be well labeled. Stay out of the cargo bays. They're still loading things in there, but All the rooms should be well labeled. The recreation area, we have our own arcade in there as well. It's small, but...
Alright, I can't wait to take a look and see the specs on this thing. I've only seen like 1 or 2 ships from this new star system and like not up close.
Yes, they're quite strange designs, but, well, the economic ramifications of this are just fascinating.
Alright, well, I will gladly take a look around. Hey, Fyron, get me some decent specs, she says as her eyes flash gold for a second.
He motions you in.
Yep, and she'll walk through.
Cool.
Bizu will probably show up next.
And what are you like?
I look like a stuffed animal. So, Bizu is 3 feet 5 inches, and he has blue fur lined like with bits of like purple mixed into the fur, and is wearing, what armor did I get?
The Yosoki reflector suit.
That, and it's entirely purple.
Cool.
And he is riding upon his mighty.
You're blue, pink, and purple.
Yeah.
No, I'm blue, purple, and purple.
Blue, purple, purple.
Many much purple.
He is riding upon his mighty steed, Sparky, which
Marky.
which is his drone, which kind of looks like a horse, but with like no head, but a robot, and like a camera where its head should be.
So you are...
Oh, let's not forget the most important part.
What?
How many limbs you have?
Oh, I have 6 arms. Yes.
So
And a
the
tail.
6-armed teddy
And a
bear
tail.
headless horseman.
The steed has no head. I have a head.
Yes, right.
Headless horse
Man.
man.
Yes.
Headless
And-
horse mander.
And he is currently
Modified centaur.
He's currently writing on Sparky, typing away on his computer, while his other limbs are also making various adjustments on Sparky.
So you walk up.
I ride up.
Yes.
Sparky.
Your glorious steed walks
Yes.
up with you atop it. The captain seems to notice that you seem preoccupied. He sort of steps back and
Oh, no,
motions you out.
his head will pop up when he sees the captain.
Welcome aboard! Welcome aboard! Can't say I get many passengers like you around here.
And he will take 2 of his limbs and like excitedly shake his hand. Yes, I am Bizu, and many people marvel at my adorable fuzzy exterior. But I am also very useful. If you need an extra mechanic, I have many hands to lend.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure Perrin will have everything handled.
hands
Our
with
own
6
mechanic
hands.
is quite able at his job, but we will certainly keep that in mind.
If you don't mind me speaking to him, I just like to be helpful.
Absolutely. If you go right on aboard, passenger quarters will be on your right, the engine room will be on the left. I'm sure he'll be happy to have visitors.
Why do we need passenger quarters? Apparently we're just going to live in engineering. Or at least this side of the table. Welcome to the engineering section.
On that, and I'm sure there's a bunk or something for me, but would you mind if I just sleep in the engineering area? It just makes me feel a little more at home. Like,
Well,
I could put up like a little hammock there.
There's no room for
well, I think Perrin might have something to say about that. You'd have to ask him. But I'm
This
pretty
is a
sure.
wishy-washy captain.
He's not the
Pretty
pilot.
sure we-
He's the human relations person.
He's,
Yeah,
yeah, he's
relations
human,
person.
yeah.
Pretty sure we may have certain policies against that. I'll
I'm
have
sure
to.
it'll
I'll
be
have to
fine.
look
I
into
don't
that.
take up much space.
The captain is the PR department, not the pilot.
Yes, but of course you'll have to talk with our engineer before that.
Oh, of course.
We would appreciate if you remained within your room. He does.
We'll see.
We'll see.
As he goes on the ship.
He seems very notably flustered and confused.
I guess I'll be next.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to get lost.
Alright, so he looks like well, he's designed with male features. He's wearing he also has the silky reflector suit, but this one is has a blue and mostly blue with yellow trim and bits around it, and he's wearing a.
Am I the only one that's wearing shitty freebooter armor?
Yes.
But around his neck he has
Mine
a,
is not. You didn't even see my armor.
he has
Are you wearing
a
anything?
red scarf. He's got blonde
I
hair.
was talking about like
And,
quality, not
he's got the
my
the
armor is
circuity
very good. I was
tattoos
talking about like the quality.
on his arms.
I think like
On
the shiny reflective armor.
yeah.
She's got
on the
like
left
custom
one,
made.
it's kind of
Yeah.
mostly on
Just
the
wearing,
upper
like,
part.
shitty freebooter
On
gear.
the other one, it's mostly on the lower part.
Mine's the latest model, just custom paint job.
The only weapon you see him carrying is his artillery laser. And
The only weapon you see him carrying is
Is
an
an
artillery.
artillery laser.
That's all you need.
What, pray tell, does an artillery laser look like?
I mean, I guess if you've got an artillery laser, anything else would just be redundant.
it's just a one-handed gun, so
Got
it's
15
It's
guns.
a simple arm, so
It's a small arms.
yeah.
Just a standard pistol.
Did you get out of the armory or the
Corona.
core book?
Core book,
Core book. Let me find out what the artillery laser looks like.
or unless I mix something up, but yeah, that's what he has.
Nice.
Well, no, they have weird names for some of the smaller arms. It's not unsurprising.
Well, you know, marketing.
Yeah,
Marketing. But yes,
merchandise,
that's-
merchandise.
Everything of notes. Yeah, that's everything of notes.
Captain
Do you
sees
look
you
like a
appro-
human, or
Yes.
more like an android? Because they have that variety. You know, like some androids have like the circuitry in their head, and some androids just look normal.
Because you have like this
humans.
sort of
I do.
circuitry tattoos, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, they're on the upper part of the left arm and lower on the right
Okay.
arm, and they do come up to like around the.
The artillery laser is the heavy weapon. Do you mean the laser pistol?
Is it?
Yeah.
Let me check.
Yeah, because artillery laser is the heavy weapon version. Laser
Okay.
pistol is the small arm version.
I might have accidentally swiped the weapons. I'll fix that in a bit. But yeah. But yeah, that's the character.
That sounds terrifying to have a pistol called an artillery laser.
I mean,
Yeah.
like the sonic pistol is called the Thunderstrike pistol, so it's like
Yeah, you know, I just ordered an artillery laser
yeah,
off of
that's
Space
the
Age
artillery.
Amazon.
That's the artillery
It's
laser.
got a
Is it?
pistol.
Is that a picture?
It's the green one right there.
Oh yeah.
My eyesight might have shifted a little bit at some points since I'm using my phone. But yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I approached the person that's at
Yeah.
the entrance.
Ah, welcome aboard, sir.
Yes.
Offers a hand.
You have the Corona pistol,
Corona. Yeah, that's it. That
the
was
Corona laser pistol.
laser.
I have the Corona.
Yeah,
I have the
I don't know
Corona.
where that came from.
I have the Corona laser rifle.
Well,
which is
the one
matches my color scheme.
the level 1 version is an azimuth, so you probably saw azimuth and your brain went artillery, right?
Yes.
Sorry.
That's
Too
what
much
happened.
raging going
Okay.
right now.
Yeah, he takes his hand and shakes it. Yeah, thank you. We'll,
Like the zero cannon is a tactical weapon. This big ass fucking like launcher.
a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to be your captain. If you need any extra accommodations, please just see one of us and we'll give you any help that you need. Everything should be well labeled. Quarters will be on the right.
Thank you. And he goes to he heads towards the
machine
quarters.
gun.
Yeah, LMG.
This
So
one
we're
does not go
all-
towards
we're not
engineering.
all having a party in engineering.
LMGs are all that big.
Let me see.
That's a real world thing. Where like,
Yeah, it's a light machine gun. Heavy
Yeah.
machine guns are mounted only. You can't carry them.
yeah, that's what That's the thing. Is like the light machine gun is in comparison to the heavy machine gun.
Sort of like the minigun there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's light in comparison. It's not light as a standard.
So are you showing up like super late?
No, I'm going to be like about a minute behind schedule. I'm just running up the dock.
that they're showing it.
You see this 6'6" Vesk in full armor, and just
like
just
6
running
barrel,
up,
dude.
running up a little bit late, but
And you're still like the same general design you talked about, like the sort of bluish scales, or
yeah, it's going to be bluish scales with a
That's
little bit of
definitively
yellow
like
marbling
6 to 8 barrels.
in between
Yes,
the
it is.
scales.
That's literally the light
and,
machine gun right there.
His vest armor is all black, and it's actually outlined in black too. So there's every once in a while when the sun hits it just right, there's a little bit of black paint on on the black. You can't really tell any kind of specific.
So you've got like black
on
semi-gloss
black.
and black matte.
Yeah, kind of like it. Yeah, you can kind of see it, but it doesn't really show up very well.
and
So that's just black.
I will notify you that
As many guns as
being
possible.
green and blue, so far as Vesk sexual dimorphism goes,
Yes.
you look you're basically an anime pretty boy.
Pretty much.
You are the Vesk equivalent of an anime pretty boy.
Yeah,
Which still looks like a
notice-
giant crocodile.
Well,
But for people who know Vesk, they may confuse you for a woman.
From Overlord.
and right, because it's a little bit bluish, but because it looks cute. But it's one of those things where you don't see any scars. I
big
mean,
green one with the scars.
the armor
That's the big
is a
green
little bit
one.
old, but it's not real beat up.
So you are a vest pretty boy.
Pretty much. There's a handgun hanging kind of
If I could have afforded it, I would have taken it.
kind of over his right back. There's a little box on his that's attached to his armor, which has a little cord that attaches to his handgun. He has a couple of belts that have pouches on them, and that's about it.
What is everyone oh, those
brain.
things.
Nail brain.
The floating brain.
So
I love those floating
that's
things.
my
They're
solo
great.
opinion.
It's an Omni tool.
It's an Omni.
All right.
Omni blade,
So yeah, showing up so late. The captain is talking on a small communication device on his wrist, probably talking with last bit of stuff that needs to get done.
Yeah.
Do you stop at all as you run past him?
No, I've got a ticket, and I just kind of hold it out as I'm running by. I say, "Hey, Cap!" Run up the steps.
You're just in time. Definitely just in time. So, back in time a little bit. You're the first to join this party in engineering, apparently.
Yes.
So,
She starts the party in engineering.
All right. So I'm going to show up in
That's my
engineering.
cannon.
so you walk in. It's a decently sized room. It's a small doorway that opens up into a wider area. There's all sorts of various panels on the walls. There's a large tube in the center that looks like you'd assume it's some kind of power core, possibly. It's blinking all sorts of fancy-looking colors, and it looks like it's, making a ton of power or whatever. And on the back wall, there's a lot of what you would assume are the engines. There's large circular devices that are jutting out of the wall that seem to be covered in wires and even more paneling, and has just generally a bit more of an industrial look than the various screens covering the rest of the room. And looking over the engines, there is a dwarf. A white-haired dwarf with a fairly medium-length beard so far as dwarves go. It goes to about halfway down his chest.
Okay.
He seems to be dressed fairly practically. It's the same uniform that the captain was wearing at its core, but it's covered in all sorts of utility belts, and he has a comically oversized wrench on his back that seems to have some kind of computer embedded into it. And he's just looking over through a couple of these maintenance panels. Just mostly it looks like he's just making sure everything's okay.
Hey, Wrench! I say, waving as I walk in.
I see he's decided to let passengers in here again. And who would you be?
I'm Grace. This is Mischief, and Doldrums is in my pocket somewhere. So, I've never seen a ship like this before, and I was just wondering if I could just take a quick look around. I was so fascinated by the new engine design. I hear that it can go at sublight speeds and make the trip in 3 days. It's absolutely fascinating. I'm just curious how it worked.
Well, part of my job here has been
Figuring out a lot of this. He holds open the panel that he's looking at, and you see that the inside of the panel is covered in sticky notes. There's also... he has clearly been taking some ravenous notes on everything that's been going on with this thing.
Ah, so where is this ship from? I've never seen a design like this in the Pact Worlds.
Well, it's because it is not from the Pact Worlds. Apparently,
Zoidberg, our engineer.
Russian Zoidberg.
I mean, you know, I wanted a Russian accent.
Apparently, our enterprising captain has managed to secure a deal with someone apparently that he knew from the academy. He knows everyone from the academy. I'm honestly not entirely sure how he knows that many people. But apparently it's some of the new explorations coming out of the new system. I can't even pronounce it, so I'm not going to try.
Do you mind if I just take a look then? See if I can figure out how any of this stuff works?
Don't touch anything, but you're welcome to look over any of my probably horribly drawn notes.
That is a 33 engineering check to... I forgot to add my bonus. That is a 35 engineering check.
Read previous
What's your
statement.
engineering?
I get a plus 13, and then I get to roll a d6 plus
Previous statement
bonus.
about how Austin was going to break his character.
This is what envoys do. Envoys
This is what
skill.
Austin does.
This is just what envoys do.
So,
Austin breaks character.
immediately looking around this place,
Fighting is what Solarians do, but I only have a +9 to hit, not a +13.
Yeah.
that power core that this thing has is, on any other ship, it would be absolute overkill. It's a prismatic pulse core, which you normally see on ships twice as big as this. This engine has a colossal amount of power draw, and by the looks of it, it uses some kind of it's essentially kind of like a warp drive, where it seems like it's supposed to be warping space around the ship itself so that the primary thrusters on it, which are also colossal, can be significantly more effective than they normally would be. It seems to use some kind of heavy emission of non-ionizing radiation to do this, so it seems to be using, like, basically heavy radio waves that it's attempting to refract back and forth in theoretical physics that you can't quite figure out how they're supposed to work. You're pretty sure there's a little bit of magic involved in this too.
The ship doesn't move; it moves the universe around the ship.
And then it moves the ship to boot. This thing,
Now,
in
our
game
skill
rules
is
terms,
stealth.
has a speed score of 12, which you can't normally get on a ship this size.
So what you're saying is...
This thing can travel as fast as a starfighter.
So what you're saying is, in an attempt to get from point A to point B, it moves both points towards each other.
and then moves itself as well.
That's what I'm
Yes.
saying. It's
Yeah.
point A trying to
It's
get to
point
point
A.
B,
Point B is
and
the
so
other thing.
they meet in the middle.
Bingo. You can also tell that this thing is not designed for much maneuverability. You set it on its course, and it goes. There's not a whole lot of lateral mobility. It's designed to go forward really, really fast.
So it's a dragster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty much. Because, again,
So, your captain was telling me about the economic. This is actually probably when they're walking in.
yeah, because you've been looking over this for a few minutes, so I'll say the two of you are probably walking up here at about the same time.
As Najka walks in, and you can see her eyes, like every couple of seconds, just flash gold for a moment as her exocortex is taking a picture of whatever she's looking at. It's like, okay, let's see that big fat drive that supposedly makes this thing move so fast.
Oh, well, you see, it doesn't make the ship move so fast so much as it makes space move around it really fast. Like, it's moving fast, but then space is also moving. And they're moving towards each other so they can get to point B, where point B is moving towards point A. It actually warps the physics of space. It's fascinating.
Who puts a gravity well drive on a liner?
No, it's not a gravity well drive, though. It's actually warping the physics of space. Ripping and tearing apart the laws of physics and rearranging them, I'm assuming magically.
Why technomagic? You know what? I mean, this is the kind of thing that Starfinder Society is looking for, so yeah.
Hi! By the way, who are you? My name is Grace, and this is Mischief. And Doldrum is around here somewhere.
Hi, I'm Najka Flame Howell. You can call me Pyre Master if you want.
I'm the actual engineer of this ship.
Hi. What's your name?
He's Wrench.
My name is Perrin.
Perrin, right. Thank you. So,
Hello, I am Bizu. This is Sparky.
I love it. She immediately begins investigating Sparky.
Okay.
this is the ship from. I can't pronounce the name of that new system. What is it? Hey, what is the designation? Hades Gamma 15 or something? And then the actual name, whatever it is.
The specific designation for it, yeah, it's just sort of a lot of characters. The Starfinder Society has given it the temporary name of Aleph Omega Null, but again, their actual name for it involves sounds that humanoids are incapable of pronouncing, so they're looking for a compromise.
Oh no, sorry, not Hades Gamma. AO Null. Right, that's it. It's been a while since I jacked into the Starfinder database to figure out what their new stuff was at, but
I'm going to see it heck out of your
Oh,
little robot buddy.
yeah, go ahead.
That's a
that's
31
really
to
fine.
investigate.
Yeah, that's fine. No, he's fine with that.
Again, the mercenaries went to their room,
Yep.
and the engineers went to engineering.
and everyone else went to engineering.
There's mercenaries and engineers on this ship right now.
That's all we got. We have mercenaries. We got engineers.
We can break stuff, we can fix stuff.
One of them is the mercenary engineer.
When she is investigating Sparky, Bizu's gonna jump off without asking or anything and go just start poking around all the engine.
Try not to touch anything, please.
It's okay. I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing here.
That doesn't
He
mean
just
you're
sort
allowed
of
to do
looks
it.
at you.
Are you sure you don't want to call
Just
them
don't.
mercenaries?
Have it touch anything. If any of these dials are not where they are right now, this thing will
I
rip
will-
apart fabric of space and time.
I will move them back. It's
We're gonna crash into Valerian.
So she's the reason we crashed.
The ship is going to crash so hard it crashes through space and time to missing Valerian.
What size is your drone?
my drone is yeah.
God.
Small size?
Oh god.
We crashed into a different game.
He
This-
walks
William, there's
over
gonna
to
be
the
a Starfighter
drone.
ship that
Is it
crashes
still
into
kind of
Great Terror
poking
at some
around?
point.
Oh no, the drone. No,
gonna
she's
happen.
investigating the drone. It's just sitting there.
Oh, you're
I'm
investigating-
poking around.
Oh, you're poking
Just
around?
like
I'm the one poking around.
y'all are gonna be out on an adventure, and just a rift is gonna open up,
So
and
you
the
start
ship's
reaching
gonna
towards
come
things?
through.
He's not
On
actually
fire
touching.
and
He's mainly
exploding.
just examining closely.
Closely.
5 young survivors. Like I have part of the Starfighter
Ew.
Society. What's a Starfighter Society?
You notice that there's all sorts of sticky notes over everything they're
Oh
trying
yes,
to
yeah,
explain.
he's reading
what
over
they're
everything.
Yeah.
Najka puts a hand to her head.
You can tell that he's keeping an eye on
Yeah.
you, but he doesn't really seem to care.
Noshka puts a hand to her head and says, "Hey, Firen, can you give me the updated records from the Starfinder Society on that new system?" And there's just this extended period of her eyes flashing gold for a few seconds before it dims down again.
And I am also here to offer my assistance, if you need any, because it's a big ship, and I like to be helpful. Also, can I sleep here?
No.
I mean, I'm very little. I don't take up much
No.
space. I could just should.
No.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Noshka. You can call me Pyromaster if you want. I'm not going to try and sleep here, but you do have my help if you need it.
Why are you called Pyromaster?
Pyromaster.
Pyromaster.
And
You're
it's
master of fires?
I bet it's because she's got a thing called Toasty on her back. Does it shoot fire or lasers?
lasers.
Does it make toast?
No.
I mean, I suppose if you shot a piece of bread.
Yes, if you put it to a very low burn setting and you fired for an extended duration, you could theoretically toast bread with it. But
I mean-
requires a lot of finagling, and you have to put it back to being usable as a weapon at that point. But
What would the role be to
Well,
recognize
like,
a famous streamer? Is that a culture role?
I believe there's rules for that specifically on the background of icon. I believe it's a culture roll.
on the meanwhile, like in the
That's a 25 culture roll.
In his room, the solar brand is being used as a hot plate right now.
Is
There's just like eggs on it.
Are you an icon?
I'm not an icon because Spacefarer has more relevant stuff to her because she travels a lot. But she does have a lot of the icon flavor.
Okay.
yeah.
It's a 25 culture check, so.
I would argue a 25. You've heard the name kind of out of context. You think it's come up in conversation like once.
Okay.
She's a YouTube star.
It's like,
One of those random YouTubers that's like, sitting at like 1 million subscribers, like not, super famous, but
Yeah.
has a fan base.
And she's
1 million subscribers, not super famous. We don't even have 600.
If you ask someone random on the street of some random 1 million subscriber YouTube channel,
she's like the general gaming equivalent of like Eric's Gaming, which is
whom I've never heard of.
Exactly.
So.
I just have never.
which they're a like I said they're a mid-range YouTuber.
Yeah.
You're the emperor. If the emperor had text to speech,
Alpha Abuse is very popular actually.
I'm gonna look over. To be fair, it may bolster your channel if you actually reset that to do some toasting bread. People love that sort of stuff. They love to see overpowered items reallocated to do simpler, mundane tasks.
I mean, yeah, I've done that a few times, but
Actually, it's air fryers right now. The captain has been going on and on about air fryers.
My culinary sense, an air fryer is really just a renamed convection oven that's put in a small pod that you put in your countertop that actually has no purpose.
If you want
They
to
suck.
talk to someone for hours about air fryers and toasters, talk to the captain. He's carrying 80 tons of toasters in this ship.
18 tons.
Toasters are like the worst investment in gazillionaire.
Yeah, they're
they
they're
never make
terrible.
a profit.
Toasters are one of the worst.
see, this is
Oh, then I shouldn't tell you about his umbrellas.
No.
Oh, toasters and umbrellas.
He's doomed
We're
to failure.
going to Idris, right? It has
we're-
an artificial
They're going to
atmosphere.
Versus.
Versus.
Yes.
Artificial atmosphere, so you don't need
They
umbrellas.
are.
Oh, sorry, that's Idris.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
A Versus has an
Yeah,
atmosphere.
yeah, okay.
Though,
You're going to Versus. Just lean towards the sun side if you need to cook something.
that's actually probably the worst place to sell an air fryer. Just go to the Fulbright. That's an air fryer.
Yeah, just like I'm going to send this on a drone 5 minutes east. Okay, it comes back. Look, it's done.
assuming the drone comes back and doesn't fry out there.
I mean,
The drones are fine. Like, drones exist on Absalon, which can melt lead.
But it's just the problem with that is that if I recalibrate Toasty, I like to keep Toasty at just the perfect flash fry for if I need to get under Vesk scale because they're tough.
Mask on board.
Excellent. Well, anyway, I was just curious. This is a fascinating little robot, by the way.
Oh, mine?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Yes. His name is Sparky, if I didn't mention that. He assists me with many things.
Like moving.
He does look like he'd be very useful. I've poked around the engine for a while. I've gotten pretty much what I'm going to get out of it.
Yeah. As you poke around more, you also notice a few more things because your roll was so high. You notice, like, one main drawbacks of this thing is it doesn't have too much fuel, and it looks like the engine will be going through that real fast.
It's not a ship for you taking diversions. Or
No.
detours.
So, does this just refuel at every single stop?
That is the plan. We are thinking that it might be necessary to make a stop at Castrovel for refueling. Thanks to how the planets are currently aligned, it would not be difficult.
It's the spaceship equivalent of a bullet train.
It'd be very difficult to go if you were going to an outer world, something past the diaspora.
This thing is not designed for terribly long travels.
Why do you not just keep extra fuel on board?
Because that takes up storage space for things you can sell.
Precisely. It is not designed with more
Then you
fuel
wouldn't have to worry
tank.
about the fuel problem.
But also, if this is meant for producing economic opportunity and it uses up so much fuel and so much power, aren't you spending a lot more money on fuel to gain the advantage of slightly faster shipping? And if you're selling an item that's fairly readily available, like toasters or air fryers, then isn't that speed wasted? Isn't it more useful for high novelty items? Or urgent needs?
Look, if you talk with our captain, I'm sure he could run you through all of his spreadsheets that he has about this.
I don't know that Dimplechins is going to be all that useful in that regard. Dimplechin. Yes. Isoki don't use people's names. They only they make up nicknames that are descriptive.
The mechanic seems
Got it.
amused.
Anyway, I've been in your hair long enough. I'm going to leave. Hey, when it's I always love to talk to you about some of the stuff on your little friend here.
Sparky?
Yes.
Yes.
Would you like to talk?
Yes.
Is,
Sure,
is
yes.
Sparky bigger than you? Because you're small?
Same size.
Sparky's
size?
probably
Okay.
around my size.
Mechanics can ride their drones if they're the same size.
Okay, cool.
Into battle.
I would like to try to distract and draw the purple one out of engineering to get him out of Perrin's hair.
Are we going to have rolling here? Like,
No, he'll go talk about Sparky.
yeah. You've picked a good subject.
No, he's interested by the rodents, so.
Cool. As I leave, I'll wink to Perrin as I lead
You
Skittermander
still
out of
don't-
engineering.
Are you
He
still
gives you a
small?
thumbs up.
Yes,
Okay, so
I'm
Small, small.
I'm 2 inches shorter than.
small, medium, medium.
Yep. Well, it was a nice conversation.
Stretching the boundaries of medium.
I'll leave you to your work.
Yes, a little bit. I'm just at the
She
top end.
she brings her obviously like not entirely cybernetic, but definitely some heavily cybernetic augmentations on her right arm up, and just a screen picks up, and she's all right. Fire started recording, and she turns and starts recording her findings about the ship, which with her exocortex in her head, she can edit and record at the same time.
Using cybernetic AIs to
Live stream.
live stream video.
Or in
from
this,
the
or in this case, record a YouTube video.
I would do the hell out of that if I had that opportunity. Not gonna lie.
Like she's recording the actual YouTube video, and the exocortex is editing it real time to get ready for upload.
Yeah.
I suppose streaming is difficult because it's hard to stream between planets.
Yeah. So she does streaming when she's on like Absalon Station and other major places where there's a huge like extranet connection.
Which we're on Absalon Station right now, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But when she's like in between, because she's a spacefarer, when she's in between stars, she records things to upload whenever she gets to a place with a good connection.
Okay.
So you're sort of exploring the ship.
Yep. And she is a member of the Starfinder Society because of course she is.
Yes.
Mhm. So
Starfinder Society. I mean, they're they're not far off from a bunch of streamers.
I mean, the Pathfinder Society was basically like a bunch of people that wanted to be like a Magellan type figure.
Yeah.
So the next logical step is YouTuber.
So it's mostly just a single hallway. There's the 8 rooms, doors to them on either side with simple little locks on them so that only people with the tickets can get into them.
One of them currently smells like eggs and bacon.
There is a final room on the right at the end of the hallway that says recreation area, and then the door at the end of the hallway says crew only.
What's the recreation room look like?
So it's 2 divided areas. There's one area that is a simple gym-looking area. It seems to store most of its stuff in compartments on the walls. So there's like basically mecha shifting exercise machines. There's a panel that can control the floor, so it can be like a hardwood floor, or it can be a like padded floor. So sort of all in one thing. And then there is a simple arcade area. There's a pretty decent assortment of some, popular arcade stuff, some popular, systems and games.
She immediately catalogs the arcade list for things that she might want to get some time recording on while she's on ship.
It's got all the popular stuff.
Yeah.
Angry Birds. That has been popular for a while.
Also, never an arcade game.
It's probably been turned into an arcade game at some point, I'm sure.
Not that I've seen.
Oh, they have the latest Fatal Fight. Sweet.
I think in Dave and Buster's they have a bunch of phone games.
Yeah.
In large versions of them, so I don't know if we count that.
Oh yeah, and there's like a vending
I've
machine
seen-
in the corner with
like I've
books,
seen-
but who needs books?
Like I've seen.
Book vending machine.
Ninja.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But for there's also like ADR and stuff.
I don't know if I've seen maybe.
Press A1 for Charles Dickens.
Anyways,
It's vaguely like a red box, but for books.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. If you need something to read on the journey,
Yeah.
just a rental library.
is there
This
a-
ship isn't very old, but it already looks like it's almost gathering dust.
Is there a bar in the recreation area?
There is not a bar, I'm sorry.
You're never gonna see me in there.
Is there
Are
some-
there regular vending machines in here as well that dispense food and drink?
Yeah, there's some simple stuff for basic snacks.
And I have my own rations. The only thing I don't have is alcohol.
Is there like a ping pong table?
Wow.
There,
Holy shit.
there's a ping pong table.
I always picture a ping pong table in a recreation area.
Yeah, ping pong table, air hockey. Yeah.
Okay.
You were right, Austin.
Angry Birds is an
Angry
arcade game.
Birds.
They did make it into an arcade game.
When you make that much money,
It's been made into a movie, and it has a sequel.
2 movies.
Couple movie, yeah.
That's unfortunate.
And
I
bunch
think
of
it's a
spin-off games.
series.
2 very bad movies.
Isn't it a
bunch of
TV
spin-off
series?
games.
I don't know.
It probably is. Baby Shark is.
I know. Our children found the baby shark toys at Walmart.
I'm sorry.
I apologize for giving them the
It's
first
your
one.
fault. It is. It's completely your fault.
And you gotta love all the people who aren't parents that just bring out the baby shark around people who are parents, and the parents all just go, "I will murder you."
I
Right
tolerate
now.
my children doing it because I love them. I have no such bond with you.
Materialized knives out of nowhere.
I can do that.
We just become Solarians.
Yeah.
Alright, so the lot of you are doing what you're doing, hanging out in your rooms, exploring the ship, talking about drones.
Talking engineering.
Getting some content. Yeah.
Cooking food.
After we get, I'll probably talk with her over what we both found out about the engines, share back and forth, and talk about the robots. And
Him.
yeah, sorry.
You said her.
I'm
It's
bad
okay.
with.
You're gonna call his character him too. So
I have only called her so far.
To be fair,
His
I'm also just
character.
really bad about calling people the wrong gender pronouns all the time. just in general.
You just
The
don't
number
care.
of times that the number of times I've called like John, her, or she, or called you he, and then you smack me.
Oh, when he's playing a okay, I'm like this. He is a guy.
No, you.
You.
Me.
Called you.
I've addressed
Oh,
you
me.
by male
I thought
pronouns
you were
before.
pointing at
Me,
William.
he, pointing at William.
The William was right there. Sorry, that's your head.
Whatever.
Anyway.
Yes. Anyway, so time passes. The time for departure quickly arrives. You all hear on a little, basically ship-wide announcement channel the attention all passengers. This is your captain speaking. We will be departing shortly. There will have to be a short stop in Castrovel. It will only be 1 hour necessary to refuel. We will still be making it to Versus in the planned 3 days.
To no one, just in my room, I just go, Castrovel.
Is there a viewing port on this ship?
I like
the
to imagine that that's
rooms
amazing
all
if it was
have
pronounced
small,
like
porthole
everyone calls it Castrovel,
windows.
and it's
Okay.
like the people that are like, it's Castrovel.
So she
It's kind of like Melbourne.
she's gonna go to her room, and as the ship is ready to take off, she's going to start up a recording and be like, okay, let's see how fast this thing actually kicks out of gravity, and she'll turn her mag boots on.
So, it starts off, pretty smoothly, and then there is a small jolting that you all feel. It's an engaging of a simplistic artificial gravity. Starts heading out a little bit slow, starts heading off slow. You can hear the, probably what are the primary boosters going off. Then, once you can see Absalom Station in its entirety, a little distance away, shoom, it just flies out of view. And you can feel, even through the artificial gravity, there is a noticeable jolt as this thing gets moving.
It's like, oh well, we're moving at a pretty standard speed. Oh, there we go.
So yeah, this thing's moving.
Everything is content.
As you vlog in the front of the window.
Basically, getting a nice outside view. Because the Exocortex can take a recording of my face from the screen that I can project, also just record from my eyes. So,
What we're learning is exocortexes are amazing for video
Video
content.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. Amazing for video content.
My
Can't wait
editor,
till I get
the
one.
machine in my brain.
yep, I have an AI in my brain that edits my videos for me.
So,
I mean, in Terra, ASMR have AIs in their head. They're just not as useful.
I have an AI, but it's not in my head.
so the first day is relatively is pretty uneventful unless you all want to, really spend too much time outside of your rooms. I assume you're spending some time in the recreation area, but is anyone else have a reason to be outside your rooms?
I will occasionally be in the recreation area just to grab a drink or something.
Makes sense.
Because I've got lots of my own food, but I'm on a ship. I might as well make use of theirs.
Yeah.
Bizu does not spend much time in his room. He's either in the engineering room or the recreation area. Challenging people to ping
I'll play ping pong against Bazoo.
pong. With 6 arms.
If you have a specific skill for that?
No. I've got sleight of hand,
Acrobatics?
reflex
I-
save.
I would argue that reflex saves
I
would
maybe
be how
either-
you would play ping
Yeah,
pong.
it'd either be reflex saves, acrobatics, or
Acrobatics.
athletics.
No, I think more
I don't
more-
think
more
it's athletics
No.
unless you're going really, really
I mean,
long.
if you're gonna spike that ball.
No, it's still just
And
dexterity.
it's not acrobatics unless you're doing some of that crazy with the Japanese ping pong players.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's acrobatics.
Two of you roll opposed reflex saves?
Sure.
17.
22.
Ah, that's not fair. I have 6 arms.
Yeah, but 6
But
arms.
But you
you
have
react
6
fast enough.
paddles.
Yeah.
6 arms doesn't mean you react 6 times the speed.
Why wouldn't you have 6 paddles?
I was thinking 4
She's
paddles.
short, too.
4 paddles.
He likes to
I'm
have
also
2 hands
short.
You're
free.
both short.
He's actually taller than I
You
am.
had to put the table down.
You're,
By 2
you're-
inches.
you just stand on the table. No, no.
Other thing I was just like,
It's just mini.
You've
You've
Walk.
turned table tennis into just tennis.
there's just this instance of like them on the table going back and forth, and I just walk past, watching, with a confused look on my face.
Yeah, whenever
Still in full armor with the gun still at the head.
whenever Noshka heads in to get some content, she like pulls at the back of her head and pulls this long the high density data jack cable out of the back of her head and jacks it into the arcade machine to get like source recording of the game footage so that she can use that.
You plug your brain into the HDMI port.
Yeah.
I am very briefly tempted to see if I can mess something up with the YouTuber, but I don't. I'm just grab my food and leave.
You do not photobomb the live streamer.
Oh no! I was really curious, like if telepathic messages would be recorded in the live stream, and I could just like scream in their head.
If it's
That's what editing's for.
if it's on an exocortex, I'd argue you could, but
Yeah.
your exocortex would instantly edit it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's hard to edit sound out when it's a constantly loud sound that's over all the other sound you're trying to catch.
Yes, but it's also coming from a different input source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be
You
little.
can just turn that input source off.
It'd be
Yeah,
really,
be
it'd be
lower.
really interesting.
You
just
turn off the input source of my internal monologue.
Yeah, because I feel like she can turn on, like, if she wants, like, really, really, really candid reaction videos, she can just turn on the immediate thought, like the subconscious thought reactions.
Internal narration on.
Yeah.
Ah, that's terrifying, and it's gonna give me a bunch of subs.
That would, oh my god, that would make reaction YouTubing like just the biggest thing on the planet. The ability to get like cortexual reactions.
And it is for some planets. So,
Eox is one of those. Eox, they love reaction videos.
Oh yeah, Bo is all over that.
so the first day passes. The cycle for the lights, as is standard, is hooked up to the days. It's slightly altered to get you adjusted to, like the day-night cycle. Well, what passes for a day-night cycle for Versa's.
Where is the ship heading? Like I know we're stopping at Castrovel, but where is
It's
it
making a
actually-
stop in Castrovel, and then it's going to Versa's.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
So yeah. First day is pretty uneventful. Second day clearly is going to be uneventful too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
That's how that works.
It's not the third day. It's rule of 3. It's gotta be the third day.
sometime around what passes for
I assume we've all at least seen each other over the course of the first
Yeah.
day, just so
Yeah.
that we know that
you've
they're-
all seen each other in
we-
passing,
we know
unless
what
any
we're
of you
doing.
have been complete shut-ins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get out once in a while.
We know that there is a Lashunta, Vesk, an android, and a couple others on the ship.
I think
When I-
it's
when I-
Skinnermander.
Yes. I was more referring to the 3 that weren't in the engineering bay.
When I run into Sestaku, I cast what's it called? Detect Affliction, just to see that he's okay.
Detect affliction.
He is suffering from a mild case of dead.
But
It's
only
a mild case.
It is only a mild case.
Like that's exactly what the nanite reading in your brain is.
What am I
Mild
paying?
case of dead.
I'm just humming little Randy Newman songs.
He seems to be still up.
That's impressive considering Randy Newman doesn't even exist in
I
this
know,
universe.
I know.
It's like
This
you
is out
walk,
of my jurisdiction.
like you
But
walk
I'm
past,
going past
like-
these two.
you walk past and you do the head turn as Dagger keeps walking and it's like the beep 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 beep. He's surprisingly mobile for someone who's dead.
That's what the more hire for.
Ah,
So, the second day, it's sometime around late afternoon-ish, probably 3 or 4. when the lot of you can go ahead and make some perception checks.
Perception.
Not my best skill.
22. Natural 20. Which brings it to 26.
17.
10.
20.
27.
26.
22.
But mine's a natural 20.
So the lot of you, except for the one who rolled a 10,
Andrew's like, do 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 do.
you notice a momentary flickering of the lights, which isn't abnormal, but they flicker for a moment, and then there's also, just a moment later, an associated, very slight change in the gravity that just lasts for an instant.
I sigh. I grab my backpack. I put it on.
Doldrum, connect to the system computers. I want to run a diagnostic test.
Okay, are we,
I pull out
At
my
the exact
gun.
same time as Nausica's like, hey, Fire, I'm going to need you to do a diagnostic real quick.
Doldrum is going to try to connect to the computer diagnostic system
Pull out my
with
gun,
my planetary
make sure
level
it's
range
loaded.
link.
go ahead and try to, you're trying to hack this system, basically?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Let me
Let's make things worse.
look. See.
My first instinct is that, oh, something weird happened. Fight's coming. Alright, backpack on,
yeah.
make sure the gun's loaded.
Yep, I can attempt computers and engineering skill checks at a range of 20 feet, so I can any computer system nearby I can get into from a distance.
It's
How
not
many skills do
difficult
you add a
to.
d6 to?
Yeah.
So that's
We've
going to
only
be
added these at
32.
Yeah, we've got just
32 and
36.
Yep.
37. 37.
the two of you are both
It's a D6 plus
able
1. I keep
to.
reading that.
You're able to figure out, the general lay of this
I do
thing,
like
and
to add a
you
d6
get
to
in.
it, like,
Yeah.
that some skills you can just add an extra d6
You just trivially log on to this thing. Like, it's not even difficult.
Thank you, Doldrum. I pull my computer out and begin looking at the screen.
So, you're looking over the immediate thing. You're probably looking like power records or.
Power records, if there's anyone else in the system that shouldn't be here, any surges, spikes.
It looks like there is someone else in the system that shouldn't be here, actually.
Who?
It looks like it's a remote access from a user called Pyremaster?
Yep.
I'm going to send Pyremaster a text message. Great minds think alike.
Apparently.
You receive a message. Great minds think alike from Mousy Girl 23.
So they do.
So-
Nausica's checking specifically the drive reading because that's the thing that's going to kill this ship is that drive engine.
I'm looking for more mundane things that, would be reasonable for a power surge.
Looking at the drive engine, the drive engine's been slowing down, understandably, because you're approaching a planet. It probably doesn't want to hit it, at whatever ridiculous Mach speed this thing's traveling at. But you see that there was a massive power draw just when those lights happened. It was from the weapons system.
Whoop.
They're charging weapons.
Can I hack into the screen readout to see what the ship sees?
To see what the ship sees?
Let's get no sensor arrays.
That's going to be a separate system. You'll have to hack that.
I'm heading up to the different area, like the cockpit area and everything.
You are faced with a door.
Yeah, that's fine. Ting ting.
So
There's
weapons.
no response for the moment.
Yeah, no.
So weapons are charging, and that's where all the power is going.
Mm-hmm.
What weapons does the ship have?
So,
Yeah. What are the combat specs of this ship?
I might know that. considering my general knowledge of the ship as a unit.
Well, I was in the engineering. I'm also, we're both in the system that it'll tell us. Yeah. What are the weapons that are charging?
So, they are labeled, and they are specifically, as I buy a small amount of time to look up the exact name of this thing.
Because I'm not going to roll another 25 on my computer's check to hack into the sensory array. At least I don't think I will.
I might.
You can't roll a 25.
No, I'm not talking about 25 on the dice.
Sorry. Yeah, I rolled a 25 on the dice.
All I need to roll a 25 is an 11.
Yeah, I only have a plus 11 to my computers.
Again, like, my highest skill is a +9, and that's my stealth.
I have at least a plus 9 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
It's
9,
the only
10,
skill
11.
I have a +9.
I have 11 skills that are at least a plus 9.
I have 7 that are above +10.
So, it seems to
+10
have...
for athletics and a
Well,
+9 for medicine.
Envoys is what we do.
It seems to be
Envoys are the skill
charging a heavy laser cannon. It seems to be charging the heavy laser cannon at the front of the ship. There's one at the front, and there's 2 at the sides.
1 4, 1 aft, 1 starboard.
Mhm.
Or 1 4, 1 4, 1 starboard. Aft stack.
Interesting. So...
The assumption is that if anything's behind you, you can just get away from it.
With the speed the ship goes, yes.
Hopefully you could just run past something that's ahead of you.
Not maneuverable, remember?
Well, it'd be really bad for a ship to try to intercept you in that line, because
yeah.
then you're both going down.
Not if
No,
you
you're
hit
not going down. You're getting ripped through a wormhole. You're going every direction at once.
That's why you shoot first to penetrate, so that you don't blow up. They do.
But are we going fast enough to
Protocol
follow
question.
the projectile?
If something were like a stray...
Relevant speeds.
Like-
I know.
a stray piece of space debris were coming in our way, would firing the weapons be a better alternative to try to maneuver around it?
Probably.
Question on protocol. Sometimes, typically speaking, they rely on the shields to pick up something like that, though.
I'm talking like something that wasn't expected, something like
Baby.
Something like
the
a giant,
hull of another ship.
a giant space spider. You laugh. They exist.
This thing, it might, but that would be like a last resort, because obviously you don't want to shoot something that might have something important on it.
I got you.
What you might see as an asteroid might be a malfunctioning ship that can't hail you back.
Okay.
Or a colony. If you're out in the asteroid belt.
Or a dwarven space station
Yep.
You're currently fairly close
to a planet.
Castrovel, yeah.
Cool. If a fight breaks out, I'm going to rush towards the cockpit.
Yeah, I'm gonna head that way too.
So the
Jack
two
out
of you
ahead of the
are
cockpit.
running up to the door that you are already knocking on.
Yeah. Well, I imagine they're still hacking into the systems at this point, because I grabbed my stuff and then went to the cockpit.
Most of my hacking I can do fairly remotely because my computer has an AI. I just kind of direct it.
With a 36 also, you got into the system pretty quick. You got into the system in like almost a matter of seconds, and then you checked the power readout, saw a new person. Yeah.
Yeah, 32. I wasn't far behind you, so.
Pro tip: don't make your password Toaster Boy.
Anyways. I just ping ping. And I'm waiting.
Yeah, I'm going to the cockpit. We'd probably rush up to see you. Ah, I see you're already here.
Yeah.
I take it you noticed the power surge?
Yeah, that was a problem.
Yes, and the weapons charging.
Yeah.
The forward-mounted laser cannon. I'm
Does it
going
sound- does it
to knock politely on the door.
I'm actually going to reach out for the captain with my brain.
Does the telepathic communication require line of sight? I thought
They
it
took me
did.
within 30 feet as far as I'm aware.
Within 30 feet?
Yeah.
What are you trying to say to the captain? Because isn't it one way? Or is it?
No, it's two-way.
Okay.
I believe it's two-way. Let me double check. Let me grab the
They can't be aware of where the person is though to direct it.
It's,
Yeah.
Even if you can't see the person.
Let me double check. It's the Lashunta ability, so it's in the core rulebook.
Yes, Has to kind of feel around for.
The
Upper
Lashunta telepathy can communicate with any creatures within 30 feet with whom they share a language. Yeah, any creature within 30 feet with whom they share a language.
Yeah, you just have to know they're there. And I'm pretty confident the captain's in the cockpit. So
you're trying to just communicate with the first So you're trying to communicate with like just the first creature you can detect?
that's in the cockpit, yeah. Whoever would be on the other side of this door. And basically just going yeah. So the concerned passengers on your ship would like to know what the fuck's going on.
You hear some kind of a startled noise on the other side, just barely, and the
that noise has been responded to with Lashunta, the face tendrils, remember?
You basically hear stammering through the telepathy. Retsia, go deal with that! So, about a few seconds later, the door opens up and you see the captain trying so very hard to put on a calm face.
Sense motive.
Yeah. I'm not good at it, but I can roll it.
Intimidation. Actually, I get to roll a d6 on
It's only a 15, because I have a +0 sense motive.
18 plus 5 is 23 plus my intimidation of
24
7.
sense motive.
So 30 intimidate.
24 and
15.
you can both tell that this guy is an absolute just you can tell this guy's
Panic.
very flustered. You specifically can tell that you can both tell he's very out of his depth. You can tell that he's got the face of someone that thinks he may have just made a horrible mistake. And he takes one look at you. You got a 30?
30 intimidate, and I just say status.
Pardon Dimples, I say, and I just walk by him.
He fumbles on his hip, but it's the wrong hip. He has his laser pistol on the other one.
You're gonna do more harm than good with that, I say as I walk past into the bridge. Status report, I say to the person. What's the cockpit look
I should
like?
have grabbed him by the collar and drag him with
And
me into the
Nashka walks in.
cockpit.
So you walk in. It's a fairly small area. There's basically a glass dome over the whole thing. It's elongated. There's 3 primary seats. There's 2 in the back, one that's empty, you would assume the captain's. There's the one to the right of it that has a large console in front of it.
Science station.
Yeah, currently there is a Sheeran at it. Similar uniform, fairly plain. A very blandly colored Sheeran who...
Sheeran of the
Bug people.
Bug people.
Right.
Yeah. Sort of a bland, drab brown color to him. Those familiar with Sheeran biology, you can tell he's fairly young. And then in the front, surrounded by the most strange-looking consoles and tools and various gadgets and gizmos, is the seat for what you would assume to be the pilot, who is, well, you can't, it's hard to see because the individual is very short, but you see short, curly, gray hair and wrinkled arm. Is that someone's grandmother?
Is it a gnome?
No, it's a human. And
Very,
you're
very
fairly
old
certain
human.
someone's grandmother. She's wearing an apron.
So with my hand on the collar of the captain, who's a human, right?
Yeah.
Can someone please tell us why the captain that I'm holding is pissing himself right now?
What did we just shoot?
You hear the entire ship, everyone now, hears the entire ship lurch and shift for a second as a giant laser beam streaks forward across the screen, and there's an explosion in the distance.
What's in the distance? They just got exploded.
Roll perception. It's very difficult. It's a very long distance away.
21.
22.
20.
On a 22, a ship of some description? It's very hard to tell. You think you two are leaning towards it being a ship. Could be an asteroid. You also see, however, another thing coming from the ship.
Yeah, it's firing back.
Yeah, at about the same time that you fired.
Did we just lose a game of Space Chicken?
And the
Brace.
laser's approaching.
I just yell brace, and I grab the nearest thing.
Maglocks go on, helm seals go on.
I'm going to very quickly put a pair of beads up that begin orbiting around my head as I launch myself into the captain's chair. Evasive maneuvers. I pull out my comm and radio her. Purple, down to engineering. They're going to need a hand in a moment.
My name is Bizot.
Down to engineering.
Okay, my name is Bizot. Just let you know.
And I'm going to look to our Lashunta friend. You good with guns?
Yep.
Go find the gunnery station.
You can already...
I'm bracing first, because we're about to get hit.
Yeah.
The gunnery station seems to be a small console on the side as far as a dedicated one. It looks like it could also be controlled by the pilot's seat. They probably didn't have a dedicated gunner.
Yeah.
I'm also a good pilot. How is the old lady looking?
So, as soon as this laser starts going, you just hear a maniacal cackling from her seat, and she just starts flying over these controls and starts shifting things, just shifting levers left and right, and you can feel the ship lurch.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm good. First brace. Once the impact hits, then I'll go to the gunnery station.
I'm going to message the rest. Do you want to help the Sheeran with computers? And I'm going to message our vest companion. We can use a hand on guns up here, and then to the android. Whatever skills you think you've got, time to use them right now. I'm going to set myself in the captain's chair. And Dimples, go sit in a corner.
I'm still holding on to it. I'm making sure he doesn't go flying into the door where the ship gets hit.
Protocol! Protocol!
So
Dimples, corner. Intimidate check.
Get to the...
Cry.
24.
not as
He just kind of shakes a little bit, looks around, and just runs out the door screaming.
as I let go, I'm like, go change your pants. I'm good at the gunnery station.
All right. So you're a
So-
gunnery.
I'm gonna head up toward the bridge, and I see this guy running past me.
It doesn't take long for your spiel before the laser eventually, let's see,
Oops.
strikes the ship. You all feel lurching as the ship jolts around for a bit. You then hear on the comms,
Looks like we've got damage to the engine. This doesn't look good.
Well, guess I need to go fix that.
Where did you tell me to go?
Engineering.
Oh,
Because I said
on my
we've already got
way
2
there.
engineers in engineering. We probably need someone good with computers to keep things running up here.
Yep.
All right. Are we gonna enter some ship combat?
I don't think we're going to enter fully into
We
much.
hijacked our own ship to enter in ship combat.
Probably too much damage.
If I touch the gunnery station on a ship, can I supercharge the gun?
Supercharging the gun, I believe that's...
Because supercharged weapon is a touch spell, and you supercharge a weapon that you touch. but a starship weapon is kind of outside of the reach of a hand.
What does supercharge do specifically?
It's specifically you touch a gun or you touch a weapon and it does more damage on its next attack.
How much more damage?
4d6 if it's a single target, 2d6 if it's an area target.
The question is, what's the scale of ship weapons is different.
Yeah, you might not be able to touch the ship weapon.
That's the question.
You're also worried about that because a regular weapon doesn't have to worry about much more than firing. This, if you divert that kind of power one ton, you might accidentally cut life support.
It's a technomancy spell. It's magic.
Yeah, it's magic.
Yeah,
it's
but
like,
it's a different scale of weapon.
Yeah, no.
It's sort of like shooting your laser gun may do an additional 46 against a person.
Yeah,
That
against
wouldn't
a
even
ship.
be 1 damage in ship
Yeah,
scale.
that's why I asked the question, because the spells have different scales.
Yeah.
So
All right.
So the first phase, I believe, would be the
Engineering. I believe.
Yeah. First phase would be the engineering phase, and who went off to try to go to engineering? The two of you?
No. Just her. Where did our android friend go?
Probably to the cockpit to see what's going on.
Mm-hmm. So
I failed the perception, so I didn't know what was going on.
yeah.
Because the only stations that can have only one person are captain and pilot.
Yeah. So, what are you trying to do here? You walk into engineering.
I ride in.
You ride into engineering.
something walks. You walk into engineering.
I ride in.
You see that the dwarven engineer
Your
is
drone explodes.
running around panicked. You see that multiple of these cores on the wall that were the engines are currently smoking. They are spitting out sparks, and basically half of these engines look like they are in no kind of good condition.
Okay, immediately going towards some of these engines that are smoking, going to try to get those under control and functioning again.
So that will be... hold it together, I would assume. Yeah. So you could hold one system together by constantly patching and modifying it. Succeed in an engineering check, you can select a system, and it will hopefully reduce the amount of damage that it's under. So roll an engineering check.
So that was a 20
Nice.
on the die. So that is a 33 for engineering. Check.
Alright. So you manage to, with duct tape, spit, and dreams, somehow manage to stop these things from actively smoking on you. There's still some damage, but you think you can at least get the thrusters online.
Alright.
And it looks like they're already starting to go into some unconventional use. The pilot's clearly trying to make as much use of what this ship has as possible.
Alright, I'll work on the thrusters then.
So then we go to helm phase.
Yep. Which would be me as the science officer and this old lady as the pilot.
Mm-hmm. So what do you want
Does
to...
this ship have shields?
The ship does have shields, yes.
I would like to balance the shields towards the forward axis.
All right.
Real quick,
What
what
page?
is the ship that we are fighting?
What page is
323.
The ship that you are fighting, there is a... You can see that there's a small readout on the screen, but it hasn't quite been fully identified at this point. It looks like they haven't really aimed sensors at it.
Who
yet
fired
fully.
first? Looking at the log real quick.
Looking at the log real quick, it looks like this ship was contacted by the other ship, and then this ship charged weapons.
But didn't fire. Just charge weapons.
Charged weapons and then fired. Yeah.
Can I get the contact log?
Sure. You look at the contact log, and it's a fairly, you see a video. It's a pretty ragtag looking cockpit. It looks like it's some kind of freighter ship that's been repurposed. There's weapons all over the walls, and you can see what looks like a skeletal face looking into the camera.
Like skeletal as in gaunt, or skeletal as in literally a skeleton?
Skeletal as in this individual is undead.
Yeah,
Ghost
literally,
pirates.
literally a skeleton.
Wearing
Ghost pirates!
Like properly Eoxian,
Space
or
ghost pirate.
like a
Ooh,
space
that
ghost pirate?
properly Eoxian.
Skeletor.
And the exact message is a little bit garbled. It seems like there was some kind of interference, but the message is pretty loud and clear in its intent.
Stand down, prepare to be boarded. We're taking your stuff.
This is the Besmara's Bruiser. If you don't stand down, we'll be taking all of you hostage.
We don't.
Awesome.
Scottish Space Ghost pirate.
Cool.
Yes. How big is their ship compared to ours?
It's noticeably larger and covered in noticeably more guns.
Yeah. How are the shields looking on the ship right now?
Shields are not looking so hot. It seems like that first blast got rid of a lot of the shielding that was.
on the forward quadrant.
Yeah.
So I would like to rebalance shields to put most of them on the forward quadrant because this is a head-on fight.
Yeah.
So
Um,
it's going to be a DC 15 plus 2 times the starship's tier.
Yep. Go for it.
So computers check. That's a computers plus 14, 33.
That makes it.
if we can get our engines running, we need to get past this thing. We're not beating it in a fight, but we are faster.
No, we need to survive the next shot.
Yes. Oh, I don't disagree. Charge shields. Talking to the pilot, we need to get some evasive action to move past this thing.
Already on it, Sonny.
Okay.
You hear it dinging. She opens an oven that's in her console. Cookies, anyone? She's still using her other hand to pilot furiously.
I'll take one.
All right.
Actually, quite good.
Yeah.
Uh,
And she opens up a vid log and start recording what's happening. All right. Well, time for a space fight, guys.
I'm taking it she's going to try to pilot us the heck past this thing.
She starts moving this thing, and let's see how well she starts piloting. All right.
I like how Vescarium ships look like basically the United States, like Navy. Like
It looks like she's trying to start closing distance. She's still a little bit weak with the engines on one side, so she's kind of curving towards the planet just a little bit. It seems like she's trying to get closer towards the planetary defense systems, because hopefully they'll take your side and defend you from this.
All right. I am going to open up a call channel and use the taunt action.
Use the taunt action? All right.
Okay. I can use either a bluff or an intimidate check, DC 15 plus 2 plus the enemy starship tier. 15, plus 2 times the enemy starship tier. Okay. If successful, each enemy character acting during the phase I choose, I'm choosing the gunnery phase, takes a -2 penalty to all their checks for 1d4 rounds, or a -4 if they're trying to push.
All right, and the DC on that was?
15 plus double the starship's tier. And as I'm a convincing liar, I get to roll my d20 in the bluff check and choose to either re-roll or add my d6 plus 1.
Nice.
think I'll add my d6 for that. 31 bluff check as I call up, and I'm going to say, in the Oxian, did your first round of space pirating go so badly you ended up like that? I mean, really, you should learn when to give up. Once you're dead, it's time to find a new profession.
Even death couldn't stop me!
Clearly something did stop you, that's why you died.
Alright. The call ends.
I wasn't
Star Fox conversations.
I wasn't done talking. Doldrum, open that channel back up.
If you can roll some computers, I'll give you a chance to, have this even be more effective.
To clarify, the initial taunt, if it succeeded, lasts for 3 rounds.
You can certainly try.
18 plus 11 plus 1. 30.
You're starting to get it open, but it's blocked.
Okay. That's fine.
Alright. So, I believe that moves us to the gunnery phase now? Sorry, science officer things happen to happen.
I succeeded my roll by a long shot, I'm assuming, so I'm basically rebalancing so that we're not picking up any ships on the sides, are we?
None so far.
So yeah, because I have to leave at least 10%, all but 10% of shield power goes to the front. On every other quadrant has 10% power.
The Sheeran is running some sensor checks. It looks like the first shot actually managed to get the engines on this thing. So
Good, so it's not moving, so it won't be getting around that shield quadrant.
hopefully, yeah. There's also a pretty good distance. You think this ship could close the distance well, but theirs probably can't.
All right.
So gunnery phase.
So what's the range that we're currently at?
The range, I believe,
It's how many hexes basically apart are we?
yeah, it's at 10 range right now.
So it's really hard to hit it
Yeah.
because we're really far away.
Is that after the ship closed?
Yeah, is that after we move forward?
Yeah, because piloting happens first.
Oh, that's first,
Yeah.
so we would have moved forward however much speed we have.
Right, because moving forward, and doing a slide as well. How close do you want to close on this thing?
I mean, we're trying to slide past it, so...
Yeah.
We're trying to move past it, so...
Trying to slide past it, you are, right now... Yeah. Right now, you are, like 3 hexes away from it.
Okay, so that's
So 3 hexes away from it,
So-
sort of to the side, but still facing.
so that's a -4 to hit. Which doesn't really matter because I rolled natural 20. But -4 to hit, I get a +8, so +4 total, so that's gonna be 24. And what kind of weapon is this thing using?
What kind of laser cannon specifically? It's the laser cannon
And
on.
I also deal a critical wound to it. Which is going to be... I'll go ahead and roll the D100.
It uses the heavy laser cannon.
Heavy laser cannon? Alright.
Yeah.
Stats for a heavy laser cannon. Heavy laser cannon. Alright, so it's going to be 48 damage plus a critical hit, which is... I rolled a 49. Which means I hit... The weapons are right.
Nice.
I hit their weapons are right.
Good targeting.
For 48. 2, 1, 7, So that's 10. 4, so 14.
Does that still apply the regular crit rules of roll the dice twice?
Do you roll the dice twice on crit?
You double the total on crit in Starfinder.
So it would be 20.
28?
So it would be 28 damage.
And randomly determine one arc containing weapons. Condition applies to all gunner actions using weapons in that arc. But my thing doesn't have a critical damage effect, so hang on, let me see.
The heavy laser cannon?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it has a critical damage effect.
Yeah, it just might not.
So it doesn't actually do anything. But I hit the weapons array.
Which you hit. You hit the one that is facing towards the side of it that you are approaching.
Sweet.
You hit the one that is on your right, which is where the ship happens to be going. So, good targeting. Though, it does have one last chance to fire at you before you start.
Yeah, heavy weapons don't, like, ship weapons don't have, like, critical damage effects, so I don't know what the critical damage effect of a heavy weapon is.
It's usually the you hit a system.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that you hit the system.
It's the ability to knock out
system,
systems.
because
Okay.
systems themselves have a certain number of points.
Got it, got it.
Did I knock out that weapon system? Question.
Yeah, no, that weapon system looks thoroughly damaged. But speaking of weapon systems, they're about to fire. And that looks like a hit.
I'd rather it wasn't.
Shields are up.
Shields are as high as they can get right now.
Yikes. He's rolling a lot of big numbers.
We just don't know the stats for the ship.
It's small and light, so it doesn't really take a whole lot of damage.
Oh, so critical hits specifically function differently than you expect them to.
Yeah.
You roll your damage twice, each time with all your usual bonuses and including any additional damage from special abilities, and then add the rolls together.
Yeah.
So basically double.
You
Right.
double it.
Oh,
You double
I
it.
forgot to add my dexterity.
You don't add your
Don't.
dexterity.
Add
Not
dexterity
to the
to this?
machines,
Okay,
no.
Stop this.
You don't add your dex to damage ever.
Just double the entire total, or roll twice if you
Oh.
want to.
At no
If you-
point.
On
On handguns or something.
on small
like
arms, you do.
that. Yeah, if you're using your dex for
Yeah,
for
it's
dex
like
bonus,
for,
your
for
dex
like,
bonus
for like personal
missile,
weapons, you add your
weapons.
you add your dex
Okay.
damage.
But I don't know if it.
I don't know if it
happens
applies to
on
starships,
cannons
but it
and
does on-
starship stuff. I don't think so.
It does on small arms. Yeah, because we also get to apply our half our level to our damage on small arms.
Well, everyone does.
Yeah.
Everyone gets weapon specialization.
And then it fires its smaller gun.
Oh, that's promising.
I think we're just taking too much damage on this.
So,
I don't think we're supposed to win this fight.
No, we're not supposed to.
Well, no, it is an Eoxian space pirate.
it fires a... The ship itself isn't Eoxian, though.
No,
Um,
it's a trash hauler.
That's been adapted.
It's a scrap ship.
So, it fires a single heavy laser that blasts into your shields. Your shields thankfully take the brunt of it, but they're down to almost nothing when a small torpedo flies in, knocks down the rest of your shield.
They also have
Yeah.
more than one gun that they can fire
Yes.
per round.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turns out space pirates
More
have
guns.
some pretty decent weaponry. And the explosion washes on the shield, but it gets past and it brushes over the side of the ship. You in engineering start to see this patchwork that you've done on your ship, on the engines, begin to fray at the edges. There is
Yeah, range of-
literally
range of
duct
is not
tape
your
being
dex
thrown
damage.
around
No,
right
I don't.
now.
No.
Nothing adds your dex to damage usually.
Yeah.
That's when
It's page 241 for damage rules.
alright.
I misread that.
So moving back to helm phase.
How
Or
bad?
sorry, engineering
Yeah,
phase.
engineering phase first.
No,
yeah.
Captain.
Captain acts whenever the captain wants to.
Yes. Because you were taunting during gunnery phase.
Yes. I don't suppose that -2 made much of a difference.
241.
Turns out they have good attack rolls.
Yeah. So engineer.
Howdy.
I'm an engineer. I'm
You
sorry.
are an engineer.
Yes, sorry. Duct tape is being thrown around right now.
I'm going to speak over the comm.
Oh yeah, it applies to
You can
attack.
try to.
Got it.
How much power can
My
we get
guns
to
just
those
generally have bigger
engines?
damage dice.
Got it.
We're not going to survive another volley.
We don't have much engines going. We don't have much engine going. Much
Wrong
power going to
accent.
the shield anymore, says the Sheeran.
1d12.
And
The power core in the ship
24
is
plus 2.
flashing rainbow colors at a far accelerated rate. Roll engineering.
25.
25.
We're gonna land on Castroville.
As you're trying to start figuring this thing out, you and the dwarf both notice at roughly the same moment that there's a strange humming right about now.
Yep.
And you both kind of look over towards where it's coming
No,
from.
we're gonna crash land on Galarian.
And it's the highest concentration of scary, confusing, overly sticky noted technology.
The drive core.
Yeah, it's the
Alright.
drive core.
Oh well.
I don't like the sound of that. As I lose my Russian accent completely.
And become
Whatever.
Scottish for a second, yeah.
You become Scottish, please understand.
You're copying my
gonna-
dwarves, 'cause
I'm gonna
Tyrian
try to
dwarves are
fix it.
Slavic.
Roll engineering. See if you can figure out how to deal with this
I'm
thing.
going to.
He's going to use the aid another action to see if he can help
I am
you.
going to use
And he's going to fail.
I'm going to use the demand action. That needs to stay together now. I demand.
26.
Hold on
Engineering.
1 second.
He's going to give you a boatload of bonuses.
Intimidate check. That's a
To rub shades
28
of
intimidate check,
Slavic
which I'm assuming
accents.
this is not a tier. So unless it's a tier 9 or above
It's
ship,
not.
you get a +4.
Okay. So that's 30.
30. So... You're really trying, you're trying your best, but fundamentally you do not understand this technology well enough to figure out what's going on here.
Can she at least hear
It
what's gonna
stopped humming. It stopped humming. You think you have a way that might divert the damage, but you think maybe redirecting some power from the thrusters to this can hopefully recharge this critical mass thing that keeps beeping at you. But do you want to try a risky repair, or do you want to hope that this thing as it stands is going to survive?
I'm gonna try a risky repair.
There is a noise as the thrusters cut off, and there's a little power bar on this thing that goes up. It stops humming. It's not humming anymore. You don't have engines, and you're still moving. But you don't think it'll open up a black hole. And
Okay.
that's enough for you right now.
So we've entirely stopped point A moving towards point B, and we're just moving point B towards us.
No, you're moving now. So
Momentum is
we are
carrying us.
moving
We're
towards
in
point B.
space.
yeah.
We started moving, thus we're
The
still moving.
warp drive is not functioning. It was approaching a critical mass that you were afraid of. You hopefully repaired that. It is off and not working, and your thrusters are off and not working. But it needs to be fed power because it wasn't turned off right. You're trying to do that, but it might take some time.
We can no longer accelerate. We can continue
Yeah.
on our same speed.
You cannot move. You are currently hurtling towards this planet.
Status report, engineering.
Okay, so the humming has stopped.
Why do we have no engines?
Well,
Because the humming has stopped.
Well, the humming stopped. So,
We're avoiding the explosion.
it
Because we
won't
did not
open-
want ship to become black hole.
Yeah, it won't open up a black hole, or
Are there escape pods on
But-
this ship?
No.
Of course there aren't.
You guys are not well prepared.
What does this ship have in terms of emergency landing? Because there's a planet and we don't have the ability to defeat its gravity anymore.
Aim at the water. You just hear from the gunnery station.
How are we going to aim this?
Point the pilot.
No engines.
No engines.
So at the very least, the pirate ship isn't shooting at you because you've gotten, by drifting away, into the weapon arc that is not active, and just you can see it smoking as you go past it.
So, looking at Castrovel, which is the planet we're heading towards, I believe.
Yes.
We are definitely heading towards Castrovel right now.
Very
That's-
quickly.
Just on a judge based on where the nose is headed, where does it look like we're going to be landing?
You. Probably physical science.
I would like to make that
To see
roll
if you
too.
can figure out what
I have
kind of drag
points in
forces
that.
will be acting here.
I have lots of physical
My,
science.
my hope is that we can use the guns to surf ourselves into a body of water rather than a city.
I have a 28 physical science, and this theoretically relates to aspects of space, so DC
Absolutely it
should be
does.
should be decreased by 5.
Because the main difficulty here is figuring out, the drag that this atmosphere is going to put onto you.
Mine's a 16.
Yeah, my reduced the DC for recall checks on physical science related to strange worlds or features of space by 5.
So you are headed towards Sovirian, the Elven continent, basically. There's a Formian continent, a Lashunta continent, a Wilderness continent, and an Elven continent, and you're headed toward the Elven one.
We're about to crash into some elves.
What direction would we need to adjust our trajectory in order to hit a body of water?
Also on that roll, you don't think you're going to get enough momentum out of these laser cannons. You're headed pretty well towards the center of this
Yeah,
continent.
laser cannons don't have a lot of mass.
No, they don't. But every little bit helps.
What role would be necessary to determine the safest part of the ship to be during a crash?
Not the cockpit.
The back.
Yeah, the cockpit's probably the worst. Well, it depends on what angle we're going in at.
Yeah.
The heaviest
yeah,
part.
how much
the
is it gonna roll?
We're gonna roll
Yeah,
towards
it's
the
gonna
heaviest
roll.
part of the ship. So
What roll was it that you made that was figuring out the
physical science.
what this ship was?
Me
Yeah,
You're
was
professional
my
spaceship.
starship designer.
yeah. You can roll that if you want to figure that out. You could roll piloting.
Sure.
It could be piloting or engineering, I think.
That's gonna be.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna roll engineering then.
27 for me on starship designer.
Mm-hmm.
That was not a good roll, mind you. 9 plus 13 is 22.
This ship specifically, there's probably portions of the cargo bay that would be fairly safe on this. Areas that would have a good amount of space for you to roll. Everything would be more anchored down than other areas of the ship because cargo bays are anchored down, whereas couches and beds usually aren't. And just judging by the design of the engines here, somewhere around the middle of the cargo bay, you'd probably guess.
So we're gonna need to get to the middle of the cargo bay if we want to survive this crash.
Yep.
So
Sounds good.
I'm gonna start moving there.
armor.
Blast over intercoms. Everyone to the cargo bay.
All right.
Should I stay in engineering?
No.
That's a bad place to be when things explode.
Okay.
Do I, being a native of Castrovel, originally,
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of years ago, or however many years ago it was that I was alive.
How long have you been dead? you
Not
think?
very long, I think. Probably no more than like 50 years, probably.
Okay, so you do have post-gap knowledge of this
Yeah,
of this planet.
yeah. So like probably no, I probably haven't been dead more than 50 years.
Yeah.
What do I know of any particular features of this continent that we're heading towards that it would be better to crash into than not. For instance, it would be worse to crash into a volcano
Or a city.
or a city than it would be to crash into farmland or a lake.
You think you can aim yourself towards a jungle and not a city?
Yeah, so I'm going to fire off the guns. I'm going to set the guns to fire until we hit Atmo. To spin us towards the forest rather than the city. As best as possible.
You take the firing trigger for the port laser cannon and just push it in and squeeze it so hard that you feel the plastic of it kind of bending a little bit, and you basically force the trigger of it into its own housing, and it just keeps firing.
And if it lances through the space pirate ship a couple times on the way down, that's great.
Sadly, that's not in the right direction, but good thought, good thought.
So do that, then head to the cargo bay.
All right, so
Wait, is the laser we're firing at the planet or away from the planet now?
Depends how much way you're spinning.
It's going to be firing above the planet. as we're
Also,
spinning
a
towards
starship laser is not going to get through that much of the atmosphere.
I didn't think so. I
it. We
was
would
just
have to be
curious.
firing our.
Good.
We'd have to be firing our forward laser into the planet.
I was
We're
just curious.
nosediving at the moment.
nosediving, but because of the way that you're going forward, you're also going to tip slightly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It'll run out of energy before it matters.
You hope.
Once we're in the cargo
Laser-
bay,
there's just a laser
I'm
gouge
going to
carved through
pull
part
back
of
into
the
my power system, and once we're in atmosphere enough, I'm going to shut power off through my hat, because I've still got that feed going,
All right.
so that it'll stop.
So there's a whole bunch of turbulence. You're all trying to find some decent spots. People are starting to be accounted for. You see, all right, there's the engineer.
Where's Dimples?
He's gone.
Dimples, he right now, he has a very good sense for advice that will keep him alive. He's crying in a corner.
Okay.
Just the cargo bay or somewhere else.
Silently crying in a corner of the cargo bay. It looks like he's crying over a toaster. He seems to be stroking it for comfort.
There's
It's worrying.
there's still the vid feed up on Najka's right arm. It's like, all right, let's see if we survive a crash, shall we?
He's patting his
I mean, this is
toaster.
the best time to,
And you see,
nobody else is going to get
No,
the shot.
no one gets footage like this.
let's see, you've got the old
I
grandma,
live,
you've
this'll go
got...
viral.
Oh yeah.
Where was that science officer again?
The Sheeran?
Where'd he go?
He's not down here. Turbulence is increasing.
Well, he's above it.
Wow.
He'll get splatted no matter what. So
Yeah, whatever.
So, all of you can go ahead and roll some reflex saves.
Sure.
Try to see how well you
Good
can
at
keep up
those.
with
I'm
this.
very good at those. Reflex or fort?
How many? Fortitude?
Reflex
I
or
imagine it's a
fortitude?
reflex first and then a
just
fort.
Reflex first, then fortitude.
So, fail reflex first.
Well, that's a natural 20 on my reflex save, which makes it a 30.
16, which makes it a 21.
19.
Lightning reflexes. Make cat my bad reflex save to an okay reflex save.
I'm pretty sure I'm dead.
Did you roll a natural one?
I rolled a 1.
It's okay, you're small. Small things can take massive impacts better than large things.
Oh, what
Legitimately,
about your
small things are, less
and
affected
what
by
about your robot? Because your
Oh.
robot clings to walls.
Let
Because
me-
it has a climb speed and grapples.
I don't know if clinging to the walls is the best idea.
I can
when
roll
I'm
Well,
trying
but
to
you can
survive.
cling to the ceiling too, or the floor,
It's,
which
it's
becomes
not
a wall.
bouncing around. I'm gonna try to
Okay,
get to the floor.
Sparky rolls a 23.
And you're mounted as Sparky, so hopefully that'll help.
It's like seat belted in and go.
Have Sparky roll a strength check.
Okay, spark.
Most armors come with like decent mag boots if they're
So
not just like a
12.
skin suit. So
Yeah, but I don't want to be.
You're
I don't want
also
my feet to be ripped off the
fairly
ankles.
light. Okay, so
26.
The problem's not the magic.
26.
The problem is what happens to your ankles.
got
when
natural
the
one.
magnets hold you still.
natural 20 is a 30.
and this side of the table,
Android?
19,
21.
21.
It has a
11.
name, John.
So
I don't actually know
everyone
what his name
except
is, I've
for
never heard
the
his name.
natural.
A1111.
Okay.
Because everyone was talking
get it
while I was
all
giving my description.
Ah, that's fine.
Okay.
So the lot of you that made your reflex saves, you take
8-4.
all 7 damage,
A41.
7 bludgeoning damage,
If you prefer.
and those of you who failed reflex saves, the 2 of you take 15 as this thing jostles around.
Sorry, what was the success number?
15.
7.
7? Okay.
Yeah, 7 if you succeeded, 15 if you failed.
So I took 7. I'm going to count up like I prefer to do.
And that's,
Stamina.
I guess, your
How
stamina.
do I do this? Okay, it's stamina.
Yep.
Until you run out of stamina, and then it goes to hit
Okay.
points.
The stamina you can regain by resting for
actually,
an hour or
And, well,
10
rest,
minutes.
spend to
10 minutes.
resolve in.
resting
10
for 10
minutes.
minutes or spending. No, resting for an hour or spending a resolve and resting for 10 minutes. Because you can get it just by
Yeah,
chilling
spend
out.
resolve.
I think
No,
you
no,
can regain
10
stamina
minutes.
just by-
Yeah, 10 minutes for. It's because
for-
it's just.
that's for spending the resolve. Because that's
No,
quick.
it's just stamina. You can rest. It's just a short.
But you have,
rest.
yeah, but you have to spend the resolve to get the,
Oh,
the
okay.
points back.
Yeah. Right.
Only on the quick one. You can get them back on a longer rest. Without
Anyway,
spending the resolve.
regardless,
Anyways.
we crash on a planet.
You all crash. Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry that you've all made a crash landing. I'm sure no one saw this coming.
What was the name of this game?
Crash landing.
Well darn.
So, looking around, the cargo bay has survived it decently, but actually, there aren't toasters spewed everywhere. All the cabling that was keeping the cargo in place is actually held together surprisingly well.
There's just one toaster
The
that has replaced the captain's head because he was holding it when he crashed.
The front of the cargo bay is pretty well mangled, and somewhere in that you can see your poor enterprising captain, and you can see this poor unfortunate grandma of a pilot, who have both sadly not survived the crash. The dwarf looks thoroughly jarred, but he's just barely clinging on to consciousness.
I'm going to use
Medical.
the inspiring boost to see to try to give him back 15 stamina points. By rushing over and calling out, "It's all right. You've gotten through the worst of it. Need to keep you conscious as I rush over." And if he lets it, it's an inspiring boost. He gets back up to 15 stamina points.
Yeah, he gains back 15 stamina
Who is
points.
The dwarf.
He's still got certainly all of his
Does he-
injuries, but
He has. Okay. He has
he looks to be
injuries.
starting
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna
Medis-
use my med kit.
You got a med
and
kit.
do medicine.
I likewise have a med kit.
Good.
So I'm going to aid another.
Yeah.
So you get a +2.
Oh, yeah. +2.
Yeah, you get a +2 because
Okay.
I'm aiding.
That's
you.
just gonna take. Okay.
He looks to be sort of shaking himself off, dusting himself off a little.
I'm going to try and
What
find...
angle did we impact at?
It was pretty well straight
So, I
in
mean,
at a
like-
bit
like-
of an angle.
Like if the floor was here, is it still here now, or is
The
it up
floor is
here
at about a 30-degree angle.
towards the head or
towards
towards the back?
Towards the front. So
Okay,
right
so
now,
there.
this is the nose of the ship.
Gotcha.
Right here. So
I'm
about
going
30
to
degree
try
angle.
and get to the cargo bay doors and
Yeah,
see if I can get those
I'm
open.
I'm heading over to the cargo bay doors to open them up. That's
Thankfully, this thing in an emergency lowers a lot of its, emergency access type of stuff, and there's just a big lever that you can crank open, and the door creaks more than normal. It's a bit dented, as with most of the walls, but
if I need to, I'll boot it open.
wonk. It opens most of the way. There seems to be a tree that gets in the way of it opening fully, but you can easily get out. It's just about like 5 feet to actually get to the ground.
How much of the tree is in the way?
It's like the trunk of a pretty solid tree. Everything that was not solid enough was pretty well destroyed. You can look behind the ship. Yeah,
Okay.
you left a bit of a trail of destruction here.
Yeah.
It looks like the ship slid for a good bit.
Nashka starts to climb her way out and just sort of, well, survived a crash. Just another day in the Starfinder Society.
There's just that there's
Are
just,
you recording a video or live streaming this?
Recording.
Okay.
there's just that sound of like the bone popping as just adjusts his neck and shoulders.
Yeah.
Like-
She records when she's in space because there's no solid extranet connection. So
Mm-hmm.
Looks back at the group and just sort of grabs onto the edge. All right, doors open. We're good to get out. Everybody that can move, let's go. Anybody need help?
I'll be fine.
the
I rolled a
dwarf.
23 to put them back together, or whatever healing.
Nice. And that, looking at specific rules for medkits.
I think that mostly just stabilizes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Hold
I
on.
forgot how that works.
Because it doesn't do any, like,
It doesn't
hit
do
point
hit
recovery,
point.
does it?
No, I don't think so.
Is it?
It mostly cures critical wounds. Like if
Oh.
anything's broken or stuff, you splint it
Okay.
up to negate like wound problems.
Yeah. You managed to splint a broken arm that he had. He was bracing himself a bit too heavily
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you all move out of the ship through the cargo bay.
Yeah, I help out anybody that needs help out because I took very little amount of damage.
A lot of you.
The DC is based on the medical equipment used. If you succeed at the check, you restore 1 hit point per level or CR of the creature you are treating. That's spending a minute
Yeah.
Okay.
to treat
Okay.
deadly wounds.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so he recovers a couple of hit points.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and Sasago like I took 7 out of my 50 stamina, so Sasago
Right.
looks barely bruised at all.
Mostly, a lot of you were just winded. You
Yeah.
did find a
Yeah.
good spot of the ship
Right.
to
Yeah.
wait in.
So do I know what the? It's been a while. It's been a while since I've been here, but do I know what the general like political status between Lashunta and elves are on Castrovel at the moment?
They're the ones that killed you.
There's recently been a bunch of political unrest. You haven't really been here since, for instance, the treaty between the Lashunta and the Shirans was signed.
Yeah.
The elves very much just like to keep to themselves.
Cool.
They don't like outsiders much.
I'd like to make a culture roll to have an understanding of how we'll be viewed.
Go ahead.
Just basically trying to figure out if I should be at the front or the back.
14, so not a great roll.
14.
I got a 14 also.
So I know your basic news.
14's enough to know that elves, they try to relegate trading with outsiders to specific places. Think like colonial China, or colonial like Japan, where they had places where they would trade with foreigners, but for the most part, they very much prefer to keep to themselves and just talk with other elves. It's seen as disgraceful for full elves to interact with other races, usually.
Alright, Doldrum, if you could find an internet connection and find a map. Nearest trading port.
There's no internet. You don't get any reception. You cannot access the info sphere for
We're
this
in a
planet.
forest. There's no Wi-Fi.
Yeah, but I have planetary access.
But it's not working.
Hey, Toasty. Are you getting
That's
any
my
reception?
gun you're talking to, but yeah.
Whatever works.
Are you getting internet reception?
Check.
Nope.
Not a one.
Nothing.
That's really weird. Let me pull up data records and see if I can find
Get everybody out of
Base.
the ship.
on. I'm trying to find, based on any records I can, where we might be map wise.
You look around.
Is that what's survival?
You can try to go ahead and like move around to a bit of a high ground to get a clear view. You can.
What's is the terrain just dense jungle?
It's pretty dense jungle, yeah. You can get on top of the ship, and that'll get you over most of the
Would
canopy.
another question, just because I got a glimpse of where we're heading from the ship, would I have any potentially previously Lashunta military knowledge about the layout of the Elven lands?
You can. I mean, yeah, you'd definitely be familiar with geography.
So could I make a culture or mercenary roll to recall like specific military target designations for where this forest might be.
Culture's gonna be a lower DC, but you can absolutely roll military.
They both get their DC lowered by 5 because of their mercenary
Yeah,
background.
yeah.
So I'll do. I have no points in culture, so we're gonna go with profession.
Go for it.
22.
So
DC lowered by 5.
you look around and also recalling from where you hit. So you're trying to figure out where you are?
Yeah, roughly.
You're not in the middle of nowhere, but you're certainly on the outskirts of it.
Okay.
This area is known for some pretty tough wildlife and very harsh mold storms that will sweep over the land and basically biologically deconstruct everything that's not prepared
So we're
for
gonna
it.
want to find cover. Do I know what direction the nearest city would be?
On that roll, specifically, you recall that there's a river a short ways off to the west. You suspect that there'd be a settlement there of some description.
Okay, and if not, we can follow it out to the coast at the very least.
Yeah, or follow it up to the mountains, and following along the mountains, you could find the town of Narundel.
Okay. So as we're getting people out, and as these two are like talking about their lack of internet connection, I'll just sort of take a quick look around. Okay, so we're gonna want to find shelter quickly, so we can gather our things.
Well,
and
the ship is temporary shelter if we're not going to move.
no, you're not gonna want to stay in the ship. The mold storms will come and basically eat it.
No.
We're going to want to get natural shelters that'll offer protection from the mold and start heading, what was it, west?
West.
Start heading west to find the
Oh,
river.
sorry, north.
Oh, sorry. Start heading north to find the river.
This
once
map
we,
is rotated, so I was
Yeah, yeah.
messing up the directions.
Once we hit a river, we can head either to the mountains. I know there's a town in the mountains, or we can head down to the coast where they'll more likely to have trading outposts.
Hey, Purple Toasty. You think we could use some of this
What
scrap
did
to
you
build a
just call
vehicle?
me?
To build a vehicle. Toasters. To build vehicles.
Again, basically anything it just basically breaks down everything it hits on, right? The mold storms.
Yeah, you suspect, with your own military knowledge, a starship hull would resist it, you think.
Yeah.
An undamaged one.
Yeah.
You think you might be, like, if this one was patched up to the point there were no holes in the hull, you think you could use it as enough of a shelter to survive.
Yeah, but not. But
you gotta
probably
move
building
it.
anything out of it probably wouldn't be secure enough to withstand the mold. Probably, unless they're really good. So in response to that, again, I go. The best we could hope for is potentially to patch up the ship. If it's undamaged, the ship could probably survive it, but anything else in the mold's gonna eat it away.
Is the-
Up a little bit.
Excellent. Are we planning on staying here and waiting for someone to come to us, or do we want to find...
No one's gonna come to us.
We're going to probably have to move. But
No one lives in
just
this
nobody
area.
knows
This
that
is
we
this
crashed
is
here.
Yeah, but
This is
you don't miss a starship coming down.
no. This is the ass end of nowhere, though, and the only people that are going to be coming out here are going to be people that want to see if there's anything left after the mold eats it.
So, we want to build some cars?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Do I think my out of curiosity, do I think my personal hotelier would be able to withstand the mold?
It's a smart tent.
It's a tent that has armor.
It's a tent that's environmentally stable. It's got AC
Yeah.
and armor.
It's in the equipment. It's in the equipment section of the core book. It's under gear.
Yeah.
I got a survival kit because I figured that made sense. And hey, look, turns out it's good to have.
You believe it should.
Okay. And if anybody here bring a tent or anything?
I've got one.
I have a hammock.
I'll sort of reach over my shoulder.
Yeah.
This one. reach over my shoulder, pull out my personal orbitality, which is like basically it's like a long metal rectangle, and sort of set it down in front of me. If you've got something that's as sturdy as this, or can be made to be as sturdy as this, it'll help.
No, but I can do some patchwork on that ship.
But again, what good is that going to do unless we're going to stay here?
And we're gonna want to leave, so.
That's why I'm saying if we can,
Make some
we've
kind
got a
of
bunch of
vehicle,
people
some
here who
kind of
with
wagon
machines.
or
If we
something.
can make a jeep or a
Make
wagon.
some kind of a
Yeah, we
something.
can make some sort of.
Out of what engines? And what wheels?
Hey, Perrin. You know what's on that ship?
I
Think we could
Yeah.
fashion some sort
A
of.
warp drive is on that ship. That's not a combustion engine.
It is if you burn
I
it.
don't think
Who
we'll be
uses
getting.
combustion these days?
If you need to build something out of scrap, you do.
Got any springs?
I don't believe you'll be finding any parts that are low power enough to not run you into the nearest mountain.
Bed springs. Here's a boing, boing, boing.
Wild idea. We could walk.
I mean, do we have-
Also, you'd have to be building a pretty advanced machine to make it through.
he motions to the thick jungle.
Fair. Anything we think we can scavenge from this?
Probably enough stuff to beef up those tents, at the very least.
It's not going to be very portable, though.
Y'all going to want to try to see what you can find on the ship that you can take?
Sure.
Let's
Just,
scavenge.
yeah.
What are you rolling
Scavenge,
for that?
Take a look.
I'm going to keep while they're scavenging, I'm just going to keep an eye out for any
What
unfriendly beasts that
Passes
decide they want to
for
come
search
sniff around.
checks here.
Anything that you
Perception?
find
I mean, that's supposed to be
Perception,
perception,
yeah,
survival, engineering.
Anything that's slightly damaged, A41 can repair it.
like crabs.
So can I.
Engineering, if you're trying to take
Magically.
apart
You can do it
bits of the
magically.
ship to
So
see if
can
you
I.
can
We
repurpose
both have the
them.
bending cantrip.
And it will be perception if you want to try to search down the ship for anything valuable you might
Forget
find.
I'm a magic
I'm
dabbler.
gonna
I have a
roll
little bit of
engineering
magic.
Engineering, if you want to try to start dismantling this ship to use its pieces, or perception if you want to try to just scan this thing for anything that could be useful to
Let's do
use.
some engineering.
I'm keeping an eye on the forest.
Hmm?
I'm keeping an eye on the forest.
30.
Okay, roll perception.
28 perception for looking for stuff.
16.
32 engineering.
30 engineering.
26 engineering.
Nice. And our android friend is rolling.
What was the what were the rules?
Engineering or survival.
En-
or perception, rather.
Engineering
Perception.
if you want to try to take the ship apart for useful bits, or perception if you want to try to search for anything that might be useful.
How many of them find a splattered bug?
29.
Oh, yeah, there was the shearing we probably could be looking for, too.
I
So,
got a 24 perception.
24.
I'm sure
You're
you'll find
scanning
things.
the ship in
Yeah, just-
general.
just
I'm sure you'll
pointing
find
out
stuff
stuff.
in it.
Head to what kind of remains of the cockpit? It's the most damaged part. The door barely opens. And yeah, he didn't leave the cockpit. Judging by the looks of it, he didn't leave his station.
Oh, the
Actually, if you look at the pattern, from where he was hit, it looks like he was just slumped over on his station.
He died of a heart attack and then got splattered.
oh well.
Or just drugged himself out so he wouldn't have to worry about it.
But searching around,
I'll go to the little food little food and drink places in the
yeah, you can loot.
Yeah,
You can
if
loot
I
all the
wasn't
all the
unleaded.
food and
all
drinks
kinds
you
of-
need from
all
that.
kinds of different things from that.
You can even get some that isn't massively unhealthy.
I decided that my high charisma score is
Hey, high
like
calories are great in
intimidation
survival.
factor, not
Yeah.
beauty.
Yeah, yeah. Other than that, you look around the
I have a positive charisma.
You look around
well,
the,
I am a half-orc. I have personality.
lounge area.
Also,
It
the
looks
drinks.
like
I only have 12.
one of these. There's a little like backup generator panel thing. You can pull a pretty decent set of batteries out of the arcade room that was sort of backup power. The lot of you, there's
Scrap the ship.
Again, there's not a whole lot that's small or useful enough. The whole power core system is surprisingly intact, but everything that it would lead to is pretty well trashed, and you can't take it with you. You can see some engine pieces. You're opening up various compartments.
If I need to strip whole armor plates off this ship, I will.
That's hard to do without, without a shop.
I have tools.
You can find some damaged plating that was around this, some of the engines in the power core. You can get a decent amount of thermal plating, fairly lightweight material that's used to try to shield some of the massive amount of
Being a
heat.
spacefarer, do I know enough about these mold storms to know what I would need to proof tents against it?
For the most part, you're going to just want something that's not organic. You're going to want something that it cannot eat.
As little carbon as possible.
Yeah. And you're thinking that the thermal plating will actually work decently well for that, but the tent may work well for that as well. So,
Okay. So I will get some thermal plating to apply to tents if necessary.
mm-hmm.
Any sort of like power sources or anything like that, or any sort of weapon type stuff?
I mean, you can't lug a laser cannon with you.
No, but I'm talking like, you know,
I
The
mean,
computers are still kind of operational.
with enough vests, you can lug any number of laser cannons with you.
The computers are still decently operational, actually.
Get a vest repair crew out there.
I'm gonna
All right,
take
we're
it
taking this with us.
Oh, I'm gonna scavenge any batteries I can get to, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna download as much information off of these computers as I can. Take any parts that might be useful to these computers.
What you're noticing about them also... Roll computers.
Oh wow, that's a number. So 25 on the dice. 20, so that's a 36.
Through your scavenging, trying to figure out how to get onto the infosphere, you notice this ship has been sending out distress signals. According to the computer logs, and the systems for sending those out are perfectly undamaged. But there's been no record of such a signal being sent according to your devices. If this thing's supposed to be sending out signals, it was supposed to be sending out signals for a while, but it hasn't. Just about when it reached, just about before it attacked the pirate ship, all of its signaling just seemed to stop. Everything outgoing from this ship was just silenced.
I would like to check around the Sheeran station and see if I can pull up any logs of what the Sheeran was doing.
You can't really go to his physical station because it's pretty well trashed,
Yes.
but accessing all of that on the same roll, it doesn't look like he was tampering with it at all. Like, he just looks like he was doing normal stuff, though you notice he wasn't really doing much of anything at the last, and looking at his system specifically, it looks like right before you crashed, essentially his keyboard was locked into basically face-on keyboard string of characters. So he looks like collapsed or something right before ship
Do we have
crashed.
video feed of the bridge?
Yes, you're actually able to access that.
What's it show?
So, as you all leave the room, he just sort of looks like he's tending to a few last things. Then he starts doing it a bit more slowly. And slumps over.
Life science? To know about if that's a Sheeran thing?
Go for it.
Okay, so that's a 19 life science, and if it is a Sheeran thing, I get a minus. The DC is -5 because of Xenoseeker.
It's not a Sheeran thing specifically, but it looks like he was just falling asleep.
That's weird. That's not a time you fall asleep.
Somebody was controlling him or something and let go.
Yeah, what would be my presumption regarding
somebody
what
put him to
could
sleep.
cause that?
Severe narcolepsy? I mean, there would have to be some pretty bad narcolepsy or some kind of toxin or something. You never really saw him on the voyage. It doesn't seem like he ever really left the cockpit or his own quarters. So you don't know.
And to point out, my suit has been sealed since we started fighting. So,
Is there anything I can do to check if there's not enough body to do a medicine check on, is there?
He's pretty well.
Have you ever splattered a bug?
Is there a blood sample I could take?
Everywhere. You gotta find it.
acre sample, but yes.
You can certainly go ahead.
I'm gonna do so and see if I can. Is there anything that passes for a medical lab or medical equipment?
There is a medical bay. It's heavily damaged because it was toward the front of the ship, but it wasn't quite. It's usable.
I'm
You're
gonna
gonna take
see-
a penalty, but it's usable.
Sure. I'll try to do a scan. Is that gonna be life science?
Life science.
Or medicine? Life science. Okay. My life science and medicine are actually pretty similar.
How many batteries do I manage to scavenge that are remaining?
You can probably find a good.
Also in personal gear.
Yeah.
For making gear.
What'd you roll on that? On your
Life science.
life science?
What'd you roll in life science?
Oh, 22.
22. There's no poisons or toxins you can see that show up.
Weird.
And if it was a deadly neurotoxin, it would be in its brain, which is probably scattered.
Yeah, but usually it goes through the bloodstream to get to the brain.
Well, also, while I'm keeping watch outside, I'm actually going to use my jump jets to get up on top of the crash site,
Mm-hmm.
so that I have a better point of view.
You get up on top of the crash site, and on your perception check, that was a 16 yet?
Yeah, 16.
You see some streaking smoke across the sky. It's the pirate ship.
Also crashing?
They crash land just south of you. Looks like just a few miles off.
Cool. Telepathy to the nearest person, to the nearest conscious mind.
Probably someone in engineering.
We've got comms.
I'm outside the ship, and no, I don't. My comms are my brain.
You don't. 30 feet?
Have
Yeah.
a lot of you been using comms at all during the scavenging?
I use comms frequently.
They don't work.
Great.
Yeah, I also just don't have a comm link.
I've just been recording.
Yeah. You managed to find like a good half dozen batteries of various levels of charge.
Now, see, here's the thing about ship crashes. Batteries are small and tend to survive better. She takes several of them, puts them into her backpack.
They are of various levels of charge.
Well, would you like to give me a list?
Uh,
Are they all basic batteries?
yeah, they're all basic batteries.
Okay.
They are. 4 of them are at half charge, and 2 of them are just dead.
Okay. Then I will actually use my shift charge ability
To bring 2 of them to full
to
charge?
condense that to 2 full charge batteries.
So yeah, 30. Whoever's I'm on top of the ship, so whoever's nearest, which is probably somebody in the engine room.
Mm-hmm.
Probably purple.
Probably me.
Hey, I can tell who I'm talking to. So I didn't hear your name at some point. What's your name?
Busy.
Hey, Bazoo. This is some staff up on top of the ship. You should gather folks and get ready to go. It looks like our pirate friends crash landed to the south of us.
Are you currently in his head?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Alright.
My shooting time. Everyone forgets. That's what these are for.
You are Mantis.
Busy will let anyone know near him.
And on that note, I think this is a good time as any to leave off for the week. Where we will join our newly stranded adventurers and see what horrors may await them.
Say goodbye.
2 weeks from
Week
now.
after next.
2 weeks from now. Yeah.
Yes.
2 weeks from now.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Farewell.
Mute us and then go to the goodbye screen.
As soon as I can find where my mouse is, I guarantee you I'm going to do that. Muted. And goodbye.
Let it sit for a second.